The college football experience week 9, 2024 preview picks and draft episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new pick 8 over at Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. Once again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
This is Coach June Jones, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience 2024 week 9 preview picks and draft. We've been doing this all year. Well, for years we've been doing this, but we're in the middle of going through each and every week of the college football season. So subscribe to the college football experience. But we also launched our team by team preview, and we're going somewhat alphabetically, but more of conference by conference. We started off with the SEC. Next comes the Mountain West. So we've already got Alabama out there, Auburn out there, Georgia out there, Arkansas out there, Florida is out there. So check out all those. And buckle up, we got more. We got Kentucky and Mizzou coming next. But check out all that action. Check out the FCS college football experience as well as we continue to preview the upcoming season in the FCS ranks as well. And don't forget about the Stadium Heads podcast. Myself and Michael Barker talking about why college football is the greatest shit on planet Earth, going through the history of the stadiums all throughout college football. So check out that podcast as well. But if you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, that's fair too. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dad, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, tailless pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Oh boy. They say they can put sponsors on the field, on the uniforms now. It's going to get wacky.
I mean, terrible. NASCAR era of college football.
Well, Europe was ahead of this shit. I feel like you watched soccer 20 years ago and they had like a Sprite logo and then like a bank on the other side of the jersey. You see it happen in the NFL and NBA now. And it's coming for college football. But hey, you could say it's a good opportunity for the small schools to keep up.
Whose rule is that? Is that the NCAA?
Yeah. Which was hilarious because they still let you put a Nike or an Adidas patch on your jersey. So
I'm kind of surprised that falls under their jurisdiction anyway, but
yeah. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh!
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Week 9 college football. Some nice matchups, but overall kind of an underwhelming week, if I may say so.
Couple rivalry games, but nothing insane.
I compared it to last year's week 9. Sorry, last year's better. We are also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. Come play DFS. We're still playing UFL DFS. We got CFL DFS. Subscribe to the CFL Gambling Podcast. Give it up for this guy, the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, free lock giving, former earned the Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
there we go. What's up, guys?
Yeah.
That music.
And this week sucks. If I could interrupt, this week sucks. It really does.
It does suck a little bit, but we should have our weekly 10-minute Brian
Yeah,
Bosworth
yeah,
session now.
Bosworth not happy with this week either, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, guys, what the fuck's going on here, man? Like, it's funny because I listen. Shout out to Adam Smith in the chat. Appreciate you, Adam. I listen to our competitors a lot of times. I live in LA, so that means you go to get a donut, you're in fucking 3 hours of traffic, right?
Yep.
And it seems like everyone's super excited about this revamped, but we get Georgia and Texas, we get Oklahoma and Alabama, but they're forgetting about all the bullshit in between. And I don't know, but
I mean, yeah, we should.
I'm optimistic on the 12-team playoff.
We should pull up last year's and pick like game 20 and see which one.
That's dude. I know what this is, so we're gonna get to it. I got another Big Ten shit graphic, but first I got to talk about what's going on in college football and give a nice shout out to the great state of North Carolina, because a bill passed within like 30 seconds saying that North Carolina, NC State, App State, ECU, Charlotte must all play each other in football and basketball, home and away.
Beautiful.
It's unfortunate that Duke and Wake couldn't get in there, but private schools are private schools.
How frequently must they all play each other? That would be amazing if it was annually, but
no, but
you have a conference.
It does
you
protect
have to honor.
if like Carolina leaves. It does protect the. Let me see if I could quickly pull that up. But
I think that's why it passed to this year at this point, because of the pending whatever the ACC is going to look like and whatever North Carolina decides to do.
But what they're protecting the fact that they would still have to play.
They'd still play NC State if NC State was in the Big 12.
Wow, so they have
or
to
the
play.
ACC.
North Carolina and NC State have to play each other.
Yes, and same with hold on. So they would be required to play at least one East Carolina, Appalachian State, Charlotte every year.
So one group of 5 North Carolina.
And would have to play at each school's home and away every 6 years.
Wow.
And North Carolina and NC State would also be required to play each other home or away every single year. A nod to a looming realignment that could move the longtime rivals into separate conferences.
Why don't more states do this?
Hey, what are we doing, states? Get this shit together. We could say fuck you to these TV execs. All right.
Exactly.
That's right. I mean, that takes up right 2/3 of all of those teams. Assuming they go to a 9-game conference slate, which I think they're going to be doing, right?
Well, I mean, ACC 8,
but the
Big 12 is 9.
Big 10 and SEC they're going to go to 9.
SEC is still at 8.
They're going to stay at 8.
Well, there's speculation they could go to 9, but the SEC. We were just looking at UMass's schedule this year, pre-episode. That's what we do. We're just always talking college football. UMass plays Missouri, Mississippi State, and Georgia. What the fuck is going on? I mean, just join the fucking league for Christ's sake. All right. They claim to be big and bad. They claim to be big and bad, but they all put UMass on the schedule. I did a deep dive on this. They played UMass like 11 times since the SEC, not including Oklahoma and Texas, has played UMass 11 times, I think, in like the past 8 years or something. Yeah. It's insane. Some other stuff that I think was interesting regarding Florida High School Athletic Association now letting NIL pay kids in high school. Missouri was able to dive into that, and now you're seeing Florida follow suit.
Wow, that spells the rebirth of Florida State, Miami, and Florida.
Yeah,
rebirth. I mean, Florida State should have been in the college football playoff last year. Miami is paying everybody they want to.
That's true.
I don't think they necessarily needed this, but it's still, again, it's a smart step because they saw, Missouri had how many players get drafted this past year? I think 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Probably. Let me go out on a limb and say that's probably the most ever for Missouri. So they're doing something right to bring in talent, and I think Florida saw that and said, "Hey, we can give our universities an edge, the upper hand as well."
Yeah. What do you think of that, Patty C?
So does this? I'm assuming that precludes still high school players from being able to accept NIL from out of state schools. That would make them.
That's the edge. That's what like Luther Burden was able to stay at Missouri. Like people thought he was going to go to Alabama.
Yeah.
Mizzou had that
Yeah,
law
obviously,
where they could pay him while he was a senior
Alabama
in high
would
school.
be willing to
Yeah.
do that, and has been doing that forever.
Yeah, but now they got to start. You have to go even grimier and start paying them in 9th grade under the table.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, no, the amount of talent. I did a deep dive on.
Hey kid, go to the vending machine during your lunch shift. Press C35, and in that bag of Fritos is going to be 10 grand.
That's right.
All
That's
right.
Yeah, Florida of all the states has been pillaged most by opposing states for talent. So those three, which prior to them really being mined so heavily, obviously we all remember the 90s and 80s when it was like probably 20 straight years then a team from Florida was in the national championship game or just about. So maybe we're going to see that come back.
I think you better add Central Florida to that mix too. Don't forget about that.
That's true.
That's right.
That's
He's
true.
always trying to shit on him. Always
Now,
trying to shit on him.
Well, I'm totally fine with these two pieces of legislation that got passed. Is this a good thing overall? I mean, do we really want that much government, even on the state level, intervention with college athletics? I mean, is that just needed at this point? But I don't. Overall,
it might be needed because, I understand. I would traditionally not like that, but when I don't want to see UCLA playing Rutgers, I'm sorry. I'm not excited about that. You know what I mean? I'm not excited. And that doesn't even count for Rutgers. For like 90% of the schools in the Big Ten. I'm not excited about that. I think it's ridiculous that, to me, just like our national parks, some things need to be fucking protected, including rivalries and conferences that are over a fucking 100 years old.
I like
now,
it.
I know
Good-
they were
good
dumb.
Analogy.
I know they were dumb, and Larry Scott was paying for hotel rooms $50,000 a night and everything. But to me,
Colby Dance, the Teddy Roosevelt of college
I am
football.
the goddamn Teddy Roosevelt of college football. All right, vote for Dundee. All right, and look, Texas should still be playing. The fucking JFK says it in a speech, and like a day before a bullet went through his fucking brain. Right? He says
JFK's last words.
Basically, he says, "Why does Rice play Texas?" Right? And he's basically saying, "Damn it, it's college football, it's tradition, and it should never go away."
God bless the man.
Vote for Dundee. All right, November. Was it 7th?
Fifth, sixth,
I don't
seventh,
fucking know.
Not important.
When the hell do you cast your vote?
That is the least
Right.
important day in November.
It's true.
Saturdays are far more important.
By far.
I think it was Teddy Roosevelt that said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." I think that's Dundee
I
over
speak
there.
softly and carry a big dick. How about that?
You don't
All right?
speak softly though. You scream loudly and carry a big dick. There's a slight change on it. Scream loudly and carry a small dick. That's that's our motto. We're the anti Teddy Roosevelt.
All bark, no bite.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'm the anti Teddy Roosevelt when it's all said and done. I don't know. Shout out to Daquan the Great. It's always fuck the Hurricanes. That's what he says. Yes. So we are talking. Appreciate you, Daquan. Daquan's the man. Always in here. More news. Of course, I will play this. When it comes to Notre Dame, I kind of think that they're.
You're a hater.
And you're
Just say it.
nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're gonna pay for it. Good night.
Well, I don't get.
I'm glad they put this on the schedule. Boise State next year, not this year, next year now. Obviously, someone canceled Boise. I forget who it was. Someone canceled Boise. I think it was NC State.
I thought it was Michigan State.
No, NC State canceled App.
Yeah.
Michigan State canceled Boise, I think. So Boise is now heading to the Golden Dome, the best dome, because it's not an actual fucking dome, to take on Notre Dame.
Love it.
Of course, they didn't do a home and home. They didn't have the courage. They didn't have the cojones to do a home and home. But it's okay. Boise still got to go to your little Golden Dome and take care of business. I love that game though, right? That's got to be
Sure.
great.
Oh, that's quality. I mean, there was a time when Notre Dame was the Boise State of college football. Granted, that was 100 years ago, but Boise.
Teddy Roosevelt saw that.
That's right. Now they couldn't be more different. Notre Dame is the privileged of college football. With the only team specifically earmarked to have. I mean that used to be the case. Now I don't know that Notre Dame is now kind of like an outsider in college football because they can't get a bye in the playoffs, and they're like one of the only teams that can't. So, do we stop hating on Notre Dame so much? Are they now at a disadvantage? Would you say, Colby?
I would just
if they are the number 1 ranked team in the country and they don't get a bye, doesn't that represent a disadvantage?
Well, play at home and home. That represents a disadvantage.
Yeah, let's talk more about Boise State here, and their motto
change the
is
subject.
their motto is anybody, anywhere, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went into South Bend.
Please,
W.
I can already tell you next year that's the win I want most.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
But, I mean, if I remove ECU and Colorado from the equation, yeah, that's the win I want most all year. Let's go, Boise. I did see that New Mexico State running back Star Thomas is going to the Duke Blue Devils. And see Nick Willie Simmons getting himself a gamer. Nice pickup for your Blue Devils. All right, yeah. Look, this week
sucks.
Can I just bring up the reason why I think this week sucks? Once again, making an appearance, coming to your local television sets and coming to your basically your local town, wherever you're listening to this. If you are in, pretty much it's scattered across the United States now, so I feel like I can actually say that. We do have Big Ten shit coming to your town, and more Big Ten shit coming on this weekend. Now I didn't even put Northwestern Iowa here because I actually enjoy that game.
Yeah,
right.
That's a fine game.
I didn't put that here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I put a rivalry trophy.
In case you're listening to this on the audio side, Big Ten shit is coming to your town. Buckle up. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Hop on over there, hit that like and subscribe. But USC heads to Rutgers this week. Week 9 college football. Absolutely horrible game. Nebraska at Ohio State. I know you would say, "Hey, Blue Bloods." You can't say Blue Bloods anymore.
Nebraska's not a Blue Blood. Sorry.
Well, and I mean, do you really want to know the history since joining the Big Ten? I believe Ohio State is 9-1 against them, and when you dive into the scores, it's not good. I actually wonder when the win was. I don't remember them winning. Maybe that was 9-1.
Check that. I don't think Iowa and Northwestern do have a rivalry trophy. I am mistaken.
But anyway, the 9-1. It was 2011 when Nebraska got them 34-27. The most recent scores 63-38. I'm sorry.
Is Nebraska Ohio State?
Yeah, since 2000. So in their meetings since, I would say, you got the closest one was actually the last time they played in Lincoln, 26-17, which was a 9-point game. But 52-17, 48-7, 56-14, 62-3, 63-38. Some of the ones. So that qualifies for Big Ten shit in my opinion. The fact that they haven't won in Columbus ever. So Maryland at Minnesota is the epitome of Big Ten shit. Coming to your local television. Washington at Indiana. I mean, can you pick a more boring game on the fucking schedule?
It's Michael Penix Bowl.
That's true, but he's unfortunately he's not even there, so it's even more Big Ten shit. And Illinois at Oregon. I mean,
that's weak.
Big Ten shit coming to your local town, folks.
Now, let me stand up for the Big Ten for a second. While those games on your graphic do pretty much suck, I still think the Big Ten has 2 games within my top 10 this week, which is more than most weeks.
True, but I'm just saying they still are serving a heavy dose of shit to your television set. All right. Let's get into it though. Okay. I got the first pick. I'm excited to get to this one. No, not that one. We got this right here. All right. Dundee on the clock. First pick. I guess I'll go there. I like it when it's in Tallahassee a lot more. But I'll go to that filthy stadium that no one goes to. All right.
They'll fill it out for this game.
They do fill it
usually,
out for this game, but I feel like it's Florida State fans that come and conquer some of that too.
Yeah, it's true.
Florida State at Miami. Look, I do feel like this has lost a lot of luster over the years, but and hey, it's Mario Cristobal. Can we talk about this? It is a big year. I was looking at this. Someone tweeted this out the other day regarding So first 25 games at Miami, Mario Cristobal is 11-14 with 0 bowl wins and only 9 weeks ranked. He's 1-5 against ranked teams and 0-2 against Florida State, with both of them being kind of blowouts. Meanwhile, Manny Diaz in his first 2 years, remember they fired him, was 14-11. Now he had 0 bowl wins, but he had 17 weeks ranked. He was 2-4 against ranked teams and 2-0 against the Florida State Seminoles. What the hell am I missing here? I think it's a huge opportunity though for you got to get this one, Cristobal. To me, like this is the one you got to get because Florida State's a little bit down from a year ago. This is your opportunity because I don't know that you'll get a better shot. Next year is going to be in Tallahassee, and I think Florida State will be better next year.
I mean,
so
last year was in Tallahassee and the game was pretty close. So
I was going to say that wasn't a blowout.
that was a 7
oh,
point
am I
game.
thinking of 2 years ago?
Yeah,
I
like
think
2 years
so.
ago. 7 years,
Yeah.
7 point game in Tallahassee last year. Miami closing the gap from 2 years ago last year. Give the man a little respect. I know you like to hate on old Mario Cristobal.
I think he's terrible.
He is terrible. That is proven to an extent, but look, he is a hell of a recruiter. That's also been proven. And that
Is he really a hell of a recruiter, or is just John Ruiz and the Nick Saban disciples being able to cash?
Hey, but
Certainly helps.
Phil
that's
Knight,
called
yeah.
called being able to drive a Ferrari. Okay.
He never drove a Ferrari at Oregon. Lanning is way better. Look,
Well, he
here's
drove
a perfect
Ferrari
example.
from a recruiting standpoint. He
Chip
used
Kelly
the
was much better
resources
at
he
Oregon.
had at his disposal.
I would say he actually was kind of lackluster at Oregon.
No, he didn't win as much as he should, but from a recruiting standpoint, he had Ferrari level resources at Oregon and he got them back on track recruiting. You could say Dan Lanning has greatly benefited from what Mario Cristobal did.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think that's even in question. I think Dan Lanning is
Dan Lanning brought in Bo Nix, right?
is a better coach.
It wasn't Cristobal.
Sure, but Cristobal had
Cristobal wasted Justin Herbert.
a
This
little
should have
bit.
been way better.
Fair.
The fuck out of
Look,
here.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
he's a great coach. I'm saying he's a Ferrari driving recruiter. Okay. And that's what he will do at Miami. That's what he has done at Miami. Also on the transfer portal, as you've pointed out a million times, he may not be able to capitalize on all the talent he has, but they're going to get better. They got to get better. If the talent's better and the coach stays the same, usually the team gets
but
better.
I also think the ACC is getting better. Cal, Stanford, SMU coming in.
All right. Not exactly
Well, the
kicking the doors down.
in
with
my
those.
opinion, the Pac-12's owned the ACC, so getting 2 of theirs,
Sure.
and then adding SMU, a potential juggernaut. You know what I mean? Look, who leads the all-time series? The Hurricanes by 2.
Close.
Yeah, all those Florida schools, Florida State, Miami, and then obviously Florida State, have good rivalries. 3 competitive schools with each other.
Yeah, I find this to be a great rivalry, but it's actually not that old. They played their first game in 1951.
Yeah, I
Most-
think all those Florida
yeah.
schools got a late start.
NC
Patty, was this your
thoughts?
number? Yeah, I was just about to ask Patty if this was his number 1 also. It is mine.
Yeah,
By
it is
far the
mine.
best rivalry of the 90s. And I mean, Colby, you mentioned it. It has gone down some a little bit just because both teams have, struggled at different points.
And they
But,
both used to really hate each other. I don't feel like the hate is on the same level. You got players that transfer within the same goddamn team every year now. I feel
That's
like
starting to happen everywhere, but I kind of
Yeah.
agree. It doesn't have the same nastiness that it used to have. But I think if both teams are good, that might bring out the nastiness because that means there's more on the line. There's more to play for.
and the trophy's
and-
called the Florida Cup.
And this year, both teams might, at least on paper, be pretty damn good.
I'm on the Wikipedia page right now, and it says from 2006, it was the most watched college football game in ESPN history.
Wow.
That wasn't even when both teams were good.
Yeah,
I think they had both taken a step
FSU
back.
might have been all right that year.
I think they were both like, one step below where they had been at championship level by that point. Man, was that the Labor Day game where there was like the missed or the field goal at the end or the missed field goal? I
Don't
forget what
start
it
me
was.
lying.
It
Don't
was
start
like
me
Brock
lying.
Berlin in that game or something.
Oh, 6. Jeez.
Yeah, I remember the '90s ones better than I do 06.
Well, that's because they were better games. With
And I
better
wasn't
teams.
shotgunning 30 fucking beers in 2006.
Touche.
I'm like, I was pretty young. I was probably getting after it a
we
little
were just
bit.
listening
Yeah.
to Colin Cowherd talk about how he's a huge college football fan, but checked out on the sport for 7 years. We kind of blacked out on the sport for 7 years.
We watched it. We just blacked out afterwards. And that still carries on.
Patty
to-
C
to
blacked
this
out
day.
last night, too. What's the point?
That's true. That's true. I love Colin Cowherd's podcast. He's like, I love college football. Now, look, Of late, I didn't watch for 7 years.
Sounds like
Wait, which one is it? Do you love college football, or did you watch? You know, if you didn't watch it for 7 years, that kind of says that you didn't love it. Anyway, check out the Florida Cup. That's my number one. Patty C, you are on the clock.
All right, we're just going implications. There's not necessarily any history to this game, but I think it's by far the most important game of the weekend. This is assuming that Missouri is able to even remotely replicate what they've done last year. I think they will be a good team again, and the schedule is very favorable. This is probably almost certainly the toughest game on their schedule. If they get through this, then they may find themselves in the SEC championship game. We're talking about Missouri going to Alabama.
Woo! Alabama hosting the Missouri Tigers. NC Nick, your thoughts?
This was my number 2 as well.
Really?
I mean,
I had another SEC game higher.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could argue 2 other SEC games. You could argue should be over this one, but for me, you have an 11-2 team versus a 12-2 team from last year. Top team in the SEC West versus the second best in the SEC East. And I've already planted my flag and said Missouri is going to make the college football playoffs this year. So obviously this game is big. Good thing is that they can still lose this and still make the playoffs, especially given their Charmin soft schedule here. But no, I think it's a fun game, and I want to see. Missouri has played Georgia probably better than anybody the last 2 years, and Georgia's not on the schedule this year.
So, except
Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alabama is on the schedule this year, so basically this is their Georgia game. So I think, and they've been close to beating Georgia. They've at least hung tight, so they haven't gotten over that hump yet. Here's the game that they could potentially get over that hump.
And they haven't won in Alabama since 1975. So
of course they probably only played 3 or 4 times or something.
Yeah.
That.
I only played twice in the great state of Alabama.
There you go.
Let me tell you what.
They're 1-1 in Alabama.
You have to worry about the killer instinct at Alabama that, was obvious under Saban and went to Georgia with Kirby Smart. You could see them in bowl games, absolutely annihilating teams. And then Dan Lanning took that. I don't know if that's comes from Alabama originally. I think Lanning was at Alabama a little bit, but I think there is a culture of killer instinct at Alabama that might not be there. And so a game like this that Alabama would traditionally win at home, I think Missouri now has a much better chance in.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. Well, I mean, I think if you go listen to our Alabama preview, I think I make a good case for why we should be concerned a little bit, because when you have that many new, not only coaches but also just new everything.
Yeah,
the culture. I was listening to an Alabama podcast. They're saying like it's super laid back on practice. Before it used to be like no one wanted to fuck up. Like Saban was in control of that thing. Yeah. Now DeBauer is his own man. I'm sure he's in control of it, but he's much more laid back. So like the protocol is it couldn't be more drastic.
Wow.
Now he's had a whole lot of success with that laid back approach too.
True. No, he's a great coach, but I do think that might have
drastic change.
That might be for the people, the returning players are also going through that.
Yeah.
And then they're bringing in a bunch of players. So to me, you're asking for a lot in year one to make everything click.
With so much upheaval going on there. Real quick, Missouri. Let's. I'm going to run through this real quick. Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vandy all at home. That's 4-0, right?
Yeah.
Bye week before A&M.
BC got him last time though.
That's true. That was in
Chestnut Hill.
Bye week before A&M, who has Arkansas in the Southwest Classic before. Is there a chance Missouri takes advantage of that bye week?
That I've said this, I think, back in when SEC released their schedule. I think the winner of that A&M game is going to go to the college football playoff, because I think A&M's got a nice schedule.
Yeah.
Missouri's got a nice schedule. The winner of that will be positioned well, I think, to potentially make the SEC championship, but if not, to make the 12-team playoff.
And I think Missouri, if they're going to make the 12-team playoff, they need to win one of those 2 road games at A&M or at Bama. If you split that means you can afford one more loss to Oklahoma maybe, or to Auburn or Arkansas or something. But if they get one of those road wins, they're a lock for the playoff.
Yeah.
Let me say this. After that, I mean, let's say Texas A&M, who was 7-6 last year, and it does have a rivalry game the week before. And Missouri, who is 11-2 and has a bye week the week before, say Missouri comes out with the win that week. Then they have a road trip to UMass.
That's the one.
Congrats!
I told you,
Amherst.
Donnie Brown, baby.
Yeah. But then they host.
No one goes into the McGurk and gets
no
a dub.
one goes in the McGurk. That's true. But then they host Auburn on homecoming. It's very likely, I would say, that if they beat A&M A&M, that they're 7-0. Meanwhile, Alabama will have Tennessee the week before on the road. I mean, gosh, this is a huge game for Missouri. They could really they're not going to go undefeated, but one loss seems possible, right?
I mean, I was going to say I think they'll be favored in every game except A&M and Bama, right? Maybe even A&M. Like it's possible they could be favored by that point against A&M. Every other game, I think, besides the Alabama game, there would certainly be dogs. I think, but
I think you're right, Nick. I think this team is punching their ticket to the playoff, regardless. As long as they get one of those two, even if they lose both at 10-2, they're probably going.
The days of Dan Devine are back. All right. Yeah. Anyway. Well played. It was a top 10 game for me. Just didn't have it that high. NC Nick, where are you going?
All right, we'll go LSU, A&M. The last 6 years, A&M has won every game in College Station, while LSU has won every game in Baton Rouge. So they're taking turns every year. That shows you how close this. I'll go ahead and call it a rivalry. This rivalry is, and both these teams have the same aspirations as Mizzou and Alabama of making the college football playoff.
Well, this one is a true rivalry. They played since the 1800s, and these games. I had this as the second ranked game, as you can see on the thing. I don't. So at some point on the second page, I start just throwing games up there, but I thought this was the second. These games have been fucking insane. Unfortunately, this game is the one that ruined the college football overtime. You remember that 7-game overtime?
Yeah.
And they changed it to the sudden death bullshit that they still go by. And
it's not quite sudden death, but
it's like sudden death after one, and you go for. I don't like it, but
I like that the score doesn't go up to 100.
That's
anymore.
true. Well, they should have just added a point before. They could have fixed that a long time ago. But either way, these games, I think this is better than Missouri and Alabama because they've proven it. These games are always kind of wild. From me watching a lot of these, there's been a lot of wild ones in this one just since them joining the SEC. Now they played a lot in the 90s and in the 80s and stuff too, but I think this is well worthy of it, and I personally I think A&M is going to win this game.
I mean, that's very possible, and that's going to be an interesting matchup. Elko versus Kelly. I don't know how many did they ever play while both were. Well,
they both were on the same staff.
Notre Dame was quite. Yeah, that's true. They were on the same staff.
He was Brian Kelly's defensive coordinator at Notre Dame.
Yeah, and those were probably
in his best years. Yeah,
exactly. I imagine Notre Dame being quasi ACC that they probably played a couple times. I'd have to look to see who got the better.
At Duke, I don't think so.
No, I mean he was only there for.
Yeah, Elko was only there 2 years.
But where was
Kelly's
he
at
before?
LSU?
But he was the coordinator
at Texas A&M.
No. Wasn't he in ACC? No,
it was at Wake.
At Wake
with Clawson.
Yeah,
a while back.
No, that doesn't really. Yeah. I don't know. I would assume I don't know who's the better coordinator and the better play caller on one side of the ball or the other. I think it's pretty close. I give the edge to Elko though.
I do
think
too.
LSU's a more talented team. I think the home environment obviously favors A&M, but I don't know. I mean, I have a slight lean to LSU actually. If I'm being honest, I think LSU might be able to go. But you said the home team, Nick, has won every single one of these
in the last 6 years. Yeah,
in the last 6 years. That's significant.
Yeah, especially because those A&M teams haven't been as good as this one has the potential to be.
True.
Yes, and I like this. I like this plate here. Big 12 Dundee is showing himself. Sunflower Showdown.
The Governor's Cup.
This Vegas odds. Let me see if this has changed. I believe these are the second and third ranked teams for making the Big 12 championship, which gives this rivalry some a little shot of adrenaline. But Kansas travels to Kansas State. I actually think you could make a case that this might be the best game of the whole weekend. As far as I do think there's a strong chance that both teams could be 10-win teams.
Well, in terms of being completely evenly matched, what have the recent results of this game been? I don't know.
Kansas State has won 15 in a row. Can we call it a rivalry?
Yeah. Well, yes, it's called the Sunflower Showdown, and believe it or not, Kansas still leads the all-time series.
And
by 12 games.
Kansas State used to be like one of the worst teams in all of college football.
Yeah.
And of those 15 wins, only 2 of those have been by less than a touchdown.
Yes,
one of them being last year. Obviously, Kansas has risen and they're a legitimate team here. I think it's a good game, but come on, better than Florida State, Miami. Get out of here.
Florida State, Miami's had some horrible blowouts lately.
Still.
I'm just saying, like, Miami hasn't shown me that they can win more than 7 games in 20 years. And this year, Kansas State, look, they're the second and third. K-State is, so the odds to win the Big 12, Utah won at +330, K-State at +350. At number 3 is Kansas at +700.
I think that's probably identical to the odds of winning the ACC.
True, but I would say, I would trust Kansas to win more games than Miami this year.
I think I agree with that. Miami is they have a high variance.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you're talking about based on records,
this could be for playoff spot.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Sure. Any 2 Big 12 teams are in play, especially 2 9-win Big 12 teams from last year. I like the in-state rivalry aspect. Florida State and Miami. Now Kansas, they haven't figured out their end of year rival, Kansas, right? It used to be Missouri. Who are they playing now?
Yeah, they switch it all up, man. They play. I don't even know who they play. It's like, because Iowa State, we have Farmageddon at the end of the year, and Colorado gets Oklahoma State. Is it West Virginia? I don't even know.
Look, this is a layup now that Kansas and Missouri aren't playing each other anymore. This should be switched to the end of the year,
and then Halloween should be like my other rivalry week, Farmageddon. Yeah.
It's a perfect title to go along with Halloween.
And how about that? Florida State, Miami, let's go back to the 1950s. This is a 123-year-old rivalry.
Yeah, I'm saying, is it a rivalry when one team's won 15 in a row?
Did Ohio State win 15 in a row against Michigan?
Look,
how long was that?
15 in a row?
Yeah,
Ohio State?
A lot. Look, Navy beat Army 15 years in a row, and guess what? Army turned that ship around and started winning the majority of them over the past 5 or 6 years.
How many years in a row did Ohio State beat Michigan? It was something like that.
Yeah, it was like I don't know, 12 and 13 years or something like that. Now
that's even higher than I would think, but damn. But look, I would be happy if Kansas won this game. And I think it's a good game. You might have played it. There might have been 2 or 3 games that should have been played higher.
Ohio State won 15 out of 16 against Michigan.
But how many in a row?
Yeah, the most out of a row was 2, 4,
7 or 8 or something.
8 in a row.
Okay. So not quite as bad, but still, I mean, it's domination.
Yeah, no, I think you're crazy, buddy. I think, like, to me, the Vegas odds back me up on this. They're both projected. They could easily end up in the Big 12 championship, and I think that means you're playing for an auto bid. So this is a gigantic game in the fucking state.
I agree.
Well, I mean, there's really nothing to argue because you did choose Florida State, Miami over it. But then when you said you could argue this is the best game of the weekend, if Kansas versus Kansas State football is the best game of a weekend, then it is a shitty weekend.
My point is I don't know that you can. I don't know that we have 2 10-win teams playing each other this weekend besides this game.
Hey, if Missouri versus Alabama is the consensus number 2 game of the weekend, you could say that this is a shitty weekend of college football. I think we've already gone over that. This is a shitty weekend of college football.
No, but it might. Can you find me one that like?
No, I agree.
If
with
I had to place a wager on who would be 10-win against 10-win, probably Missouri. I mean, Missouri Bama would probably be that one, or Kansas State. Though I would take that over LSU A&M and Florida State Miami.
Only because the quality of the teams they're playing.
Well, K-State wins double digits every year.
Yeah,
even when Oklahoma and Texas were in the fucking conference, K-State's winning 10.
Yeah. No, the K-State, I think, to Nick's point, has been the dominant team. They're playing at home. Last year's game was one of the only ones that's been close, like Nick pointed out. It was a 4-point game, but it was in Lawrence. But from a perception standpoint, the gap is very much closed. I don't know who is even the better team at this point. Obviously, you have to give Kansas State a slight edge. But wait, who is it? Is he coming back? Daniels? What's his?
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Daniels
Of
back.
course,
in
you
the
have to give K-State the lead, the lean, especially at home. Look, we all like what Kansas is doing, but what really have they proven so far? They've had 2 good years,
Well,
but
what has
they
Leipold done?
They haven't reached 10 wins yet, right?
They had 9 last year with their Heisman Trophy quarterback knocked out after what, game 3
with the bowl win over UNLV.
Leipold 2-10,
9.
6-7, 9-4. I would say that trajectory is skyrocketing.
Well, especially
upwards.
when you had a preseason Heisman, like they talked about him as like a top 5 to 10 Heisman quarterback.
Yeah.
He played like 2 games for them.
Yeah,
That's a fucking big difference right there. Get out of here with this nonsense you're trying to say here.
I think it's a good game. I think it's a
It
good
is
game.
a good game. Same here, but it's not better than Florida State Miami.
I think at the
It's
end of the
not
year it
more
will be
appealing to the masses. That's
No.
for sure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what you're basing it off.
Well, I mean,
Because I think at the end of the year,
TMZ Nick.
this one will have more combined wins than Florida State Miami. I'll make a
sometimes
wager.
I gotta
Yeah.
put your hipsterness in check because, like,
This is not hipster.
just
I
look at the
appreciate
ratings. Look at the ratings between the 2 games
my
when this
God.
week is over.
Yeah.
Between Florida State, Miami, and Kansas.
You know how many human beings are in the state of fucking Florida? You know how many human beings are in Kansas? It's a dumb fucking thing from the start.
Let me ask you this: which of these 2 games has the better chance of producing a college football championship? I guess, or a semifinalist. Certainly, Florida State, Miami. I would
Really?
think.
I don't think so. I think Kansas State could.
Well, I mean, Florida State should have been there last year.
Well, in the Invitational, but they took a huge hit. They're not nearly as good as last year. They lost
DJU.
everybody on their defense, and to me, DJU is a downgrade at the quarterback spot.
I don't know if I agree with that, but similar to
Really?
Jordan
He
Travis.
can't run.
And going back to TV ratings, okay, Colby, states wise, there's no way to do this, I don't think. But if you could look at TV ratings, but not include the home state of the games, still, Florida State Miami draws so much more national appeal than Kansas State.
I understand that because
History.
Florida plays high school football. Yeah, but my point is though, at the end of the year, Kansas and Kansas State will have more wins than Florida State and Miami, and I will
It'll be
make
close.
that wager.
Yeah.
It'll be
I will
close.
make that wager.
Maybe
Yeah.
next year we'll have a bigger hard on for Kansas State than we do Florida State, Miami.
I think
This year-
Kansas
Florida
needs
State,
to win-
Miami. Look, I played at number 1 because of the stakes of like Miami needs to get that win.
Yeah.
Cristobal needs that.
It's been a
year 3. That's part of the drama.
Irrelevant game for a long time.
But it
now.
has been shitty in the past 10 years,
Yeah.
man. There's some horrible fucking games.
Agreed.
But Kansas needs to win one of these before we can have it anywhere near the top game of a week. Maybe this is a year.
Kansas could still lose this game if they win the Big 12. Then
They
to me,
become
then it
primetime
becomes
TV.
that. Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going.
Anyway, fucking guy hates the Big 12 every time.
You just overrate them. I gotta check your ass.
Buddy, Florida State, Miami. How many people will be at that game? I bet you Kansas State packs that fucking stadium. They are college football, not this bullshit at an NFL stadium where you're gonna have fucking 50% of the crowd there, like a typical ACC game. All right, like they do at Pitt, like they do at Boston College, like they do at Syracuse, like they do at Wake, like the whole fucking conference. You're adding Cal and Stanford. They do that shit too. Even SMU did it
You're
last
acting
year.
like Kansas hasn't been a fucking shit
This is
bag.
at K-State though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said yourself in 06, Florida State Miami was the most watched college football game of all time. Where has been
for ESPN?
Okay. Where's been the Kansas State game?
Well,
on
it's
those
never
rankings?
going to be because there's like 12
Holy
people
crap.
in the state.
Can we move on from this game?
Yeah, we
Okay.
need to before this podcast goes 3 hours.
Yeah. Dead horse is beaten thoroughly. Game number 5 is going to be Oklahoma at Ole Miss. Look, Oklahoma has a brutal schedule. If it wasn't for that, I think this team would have excellent year 1 prospects. But I think I have to walk back my my huge predictions for Oklahoma a little bit.
Already?
Oh my God!
The schedule. I didn't
It's
look
easy
at
to
it
see a tide
as closely as I probably should have before spouting my mouth off. But I do think that they have great chance of walking into Oxford and handing it to the Rebels.
Well, they're 0-1 all the time against Ole Miss.
When was that game played?
99.
Okay. Times have
Bob
changed.
Stoops was there.
It was the Independence Bowl.
They probably should have won that if Bob Stoops was there. What was that, year 1 for him though?
I think
Back
Two.
then, most of the roster actually probably played in the bowl game too.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's true.
Times have changed for the worst.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of this game because I feel like Ole Miss is a pretender. I think Oklahoma could win this one.
I don't think Ole Miss is a pretender.
They won. I don't know this. I mean, it has. I'll say this for this year. It does have a little bit of firepower. But are you guys sold on Ole Miss? Do you think they're? I mean, I think their schedule lines up nice. They're probably the third team I would choose besides Missouri and A&M that has a great schedule, great path to get to the playoffs. But I just don't know if they're any like. When I watch Ole Miss, they're like North Carolina in the ACC to me.
That's a great comparison.
Is where it's just like, yeah, they'll look.
The powder blue being
some
one
NFL
part,
players. They'll score like 48 points in most games, but I just don't trust them. Oklahoma probably does win this game.
Completely fair analysis there.
Well, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it is kind of like a coin flip 50-50 game. This is a top 5 game to me. It's one of the games that realignment actually has me looking forward to.
Yeah, I did not put it in my realignment diss, but there's a bunch of other ones that certainly are on the schedule for this week. I'm giving it a pass. I got to be honest. If you told me Oklahoma, Ole Miss, I don't like seek that, but maybe it just develops. Maybe it's something that. Yeah.
Jeff Lebby had been at both within the past 5 years with both of these coaches. I don't know if there's. It seems like Ole Miss still has a resemblance of what he was doing while he was there. I don't know if Oklahoma will, but I presume since he just
got Seth
left,
Luttrell though, he's just running air raid, I think.
So it's kind of similar though. I mean,
yeah, it's gonna be high powered. They will be over 80 points this game. I told you it's the new Big 12.
I don't know that
the SEC is the new Big 12.
I feel like when teams see what the other team is doing in practice all the time, they're much more able to limit it than other teams. So I think the fact that these teams have both had the same offensive coordinator. How long was Lebby at
Oklahoma?
2 years, and he was at Ole Miss before that. I think they're going to be ready for what each other are throwing at each other. I think we might see a slightly lower scoring game than most people would anticipate. Don't clip that because this game could be 80 to 80.
LSU Ole Miss was what, like 55 to 49 or something. And even with that, there was like a fumble inside the 10-yard line with like 5 minutes
Don't
left.
clip that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, I think it's still worthy. It's a top 10 game, but to me, it needs. I'm looking forward to it maybe developing some, because to me it's just like, is Ole Miss for real? Oklahoma, they're for real. Like historically, so it's like, okay, this is a statement game for Ole Miss to me. You get this, go up 2-0 against Oklahoma, then we can start taking you serious moving forward.
Brent Venables. Here's what I think about Brent Venables and why Oklahoma not only historically is like more of a team that you have to take seriously than Ole Miss, obviously, but I think that teams of that caliber, of the blue blood ilk, offense generates itself for them for the most part. It's usually when you have a defensive coach, whether that be Saban, Pete Carroll, any number of coaches that have a defensive like
Kirby Smart
mindset. Yeah. Those are the teams that become national powerhouses. And guess what? The offense always shows up because you're
Urban Meyer was offense, right?
He was. Yeah. So
Spurrier was offense. You could sit
that's
there.
True.
Yeah.
You could go both ways, but I feel like more often than not, when these teams have a defensive coach, they have great success.
Words of Chisholm.
A lot of times you have these fucking USC type. Who's the coaches they've had? I mean, ironically, Clay Helton, and then before that,
Sarkisian,
Lane Kiffin.
The Sarkisian, then Kiffin. Yeah.
So, you can generate offense. That's a given at a blue blood. But if you have a great defense to go along with it, then you become a championship contender. So Oklahoma.
I like it. Words of Chisholm. All right. Look, folks, if you're wondering, we are the College Football Experience, and that's what you're listening to. And we are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And, the NBA Finals are tipping off this week. And we're giving away $100 cash and a $100 SGPN gift card to the listener who wins our NBA Finals prop contest. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA Finals to enter. And not to be outdone, the Hockey Gambling Podcast guys are also running a Stanley Cup contest with $100 cash and a $100 SGPN gift card. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Stanley Cup to enter. And don't forget the college baseball World Series, the NCAA tournament's going on. We got all that shit. The road to Omaha. Check out the college baseball experience and Noah Beanick doing the Lord's work as well. All on the Sports Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. So check it out. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right, we are back. And NC Nick is going to give us some ACC bullshit here, probably, huh?
Nope. You got to play me up the music. There you go. Keeping on the job over there. No, I'm going Big Ten. This is my top 5 Big Ten game. Michigan State.
Whoa.
Curveball,
Yeah.
but I like it.
Look, I mean, granted, last year was a blowout. Last 2 years, but overall, Michigan 73, 38-5. But if you look at the last 4 years, even split. Last 10 years, even split, 5-5. Harbaugh's gone. The shitty coach at Michigan State's gone. It's time for this game to be back, and this game can be meaningful once again. Maybe, I mean, especially because this year, there's some question marks about both teams. But Jonathan Smith is a good coach. He's going to bring back Sparty back to relevance, and perhaps it starts here with at least a close game in Ann Arbor. If it was in East Lansing, I would like it even more. But this game is always played the last weekend in October, and it's about time it comes back to being something decent.
They got my memo on the rivalry week for Halloween. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Look, I had it outside of my top 10, but I did think to me, it's a little more interesting this year just because you have 2 brand new head coaches going at it. And
that levels the playing field.
I forever hate this game for the drop punt where I lost a bunch of money. Where the guy just
you have this game not even in your top 10.
It's just Michigan State hasn't been that great. You know what I mean? Like of late, okay, D'Antonio, but outside of D'Antonio, even Saban couldn't get it done against them.
They've been a good team.
Mel Tucker beat Harbaugh his first 2 times, I believe, right? In 20 and 21.
True. That is true. That's unbelievable. They got him that. That was it. That was the punt game, though, right?
No, that was like 20. That was like
Harbaugh's
first year.
Okay.
17, I think.
16,
it was a 14-10 win in 17.
Fair.
One of
Tucker, I
Harbaugh's
can't believe
first years.
Tucker went. So Tucker went what 2-2 or 2-1 because he didn't coach the. That's hilarious. He's Tuck coming. What's up, Jim Harbaugh? Yeah. Look, I had it a little bit further, but I had another Big 10 game ahead of it, as you see. So
I don't think you're as high. I don't know how you are, Nick, on Michigan State. I think they're not so far away. I think they haven't been pretty for a couple of years, but they're still a very talented.
I love the hire.
Like when
absolutely love the hire. My problem is the schedule.
Yeah,
I think it's a tougher schedule than people realize.
Yeah,
but I think they're at least bowling this year.
Look at Penn State and Michigan State head to head. I want to say their all-time series is tied. They've only been in the Big Ten together since like the 90s, and I think it's been tied since they were both in the Big Ten. And in recent history, I think Michigan State has gotten the better of Penn State for the most part, except for obviously, the last couple of years, I think Penn State's gotten the better of them.
Like we would say the 3 best teams in the Big Ten are Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan, right?
This year, yeah.
I think coming into the season, I think they get all 3, right?
Yeah.
And they get Oregon and Michigan on the road. They also get Iowa, which would probably be one of the top half.
So
if you divided it.
You're saying just because their record's not probably going to be that great coming into this game, and they'll probably be a little beat up, that you don't think this game will be interesting or compelling?
No, I think it will. I had it as like the 13th ranked game for me. It's just that's not there yet.
That's way underrated. Look, I said in the last 4 games it's even. In the last 10 games it's even. In the last 20 games it's 10-10. Put some respect on this rivalry. Don't give me some of these bullshit games here. 13th on the list. Come on.
And of all teams that loves to get the better of Big Brother, Michigan State is one of the most, if not the most. I think it's a great game.
No, it is a good game.
I don't know if I would have
it ranked. Yeah, I have it. You had the other Big Ten game higher though. I saw your reaction. Yeah. Okay.
State Wisconsin.
Yeah,
it's a good game.
Really?
I mean,
the last one was a great game.
Wisconsin and Michigan State have been. I guess Wisconsin's been a little bit better over the past 15, 20 years, but not that much. I think a lot of that's just because they've been in the Big Ten West.
Well, we'll get to it. I'm on the clock. And when I say we'll get to it, we're going to get to it right now. All right. Penn State, Wisconsin. The last one was a heater in Camp Randall. And this is another one that, I guess historically Nick's right. Like when you think about the history of college football, But if you wanted to stick to those guns, then the Sunflower Showdown would be historically a lot better because they've played for about 60 more years than Miami, Florida. But
Not just
Miami,
about
Florida State,
how long they play, but how meaningful the games have been.
they mean something.
Let's not bring that up. Go ahead.
Yes, the horse is dead. It's been beaten to death.
But I guess my thing here is that, like, I don't think Michigan State has any chance at all of making the playoffs. Right?
Does Wisconsin?
I think they have a better chance than Michigan State. It's year 2 of their coach.
Slightly.
It's year 2 of their coach.
Slightly.
And well, to me, like they had a good history of winning 10, 11 games for a long time.
Sure.
And then you add in Penn State. Like, I do think this is a critical game
If
for Penn
Wisconsin
State.
gets Alabama at home early on in that slate, that could bolster them significantly.
Well, and to me, like, if you want to look at Penn State's playoff chances, I would say this is one of the most important games of their season because the chat was talking about it out the gate at West Virginia. I think that's a dangerous game for what we don't think. If Penn State goes 9-3, could they get to the playoffs? You think, Patty C?
Penn State, yeah, it depends on how things break.
Possible, yeah.
Because their road trips are at West Virginia, a rivalry game.
I would anticipate a 9-3 team going to the playoff. I think that's typically around what the teams at the 11 and 12 ranked are.
Right.
So at West Virginia, at USC, at Wisconsin, those are the 3 road games I circle. Right?
This is for who?
Penn State.
Penn State.
At home, they still play Ohio State. Right? So they don't get Michigan. I think it's a super pivotal game because to me, they don't have that long of a leash, and like some of the other games they play, I don't know how Washington will be this year or UCLA, but you know they're good enough to beat you. I mean, shit, we saw Illinois go into State College and beat them 2 years ago. So
Penn State is absolutely the team that benefited most from the playoff expanding to 12, and it's because they're always right in this range of like lower end of the top 10 or maybe.
Well, that makes this a gigantic fucking game then because if they lose to West Virginia, USC, and Ohio State, but beat Wisconsin, they're probably in.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State's basically like Ole Miss or Missouri. They're one of the teams that, especially Ole Miss recently, because they've been winning 9-10 games a year, but not getting over that last jump. Now they have a chance to. Now they have a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, this is a big game. I agree with you. I would have played this around this spot, but maybe a little earlier than Michigan State. But I like the rivalry aspect, the hatred aspect. I mean, Michigan State, even without the competitive element, is probably a little more entertaining just from a fan checking in on the game.
And hear me out with Wisconsin. Yeah, look, I probably am going to take the under on them just because I don't know about the fickle hire, but I'm saying they get their toughest opponents in Madison: Alabama, Penn State, and Oregon. If they can just take care of home field,
win all 3 of them.
No, they don't have to win all 3.
Okay.
Like I said, they could go 9-3.
Well, when I say take care of home field, I thought you meant win, clean
No,
sweep.
well,
there.
I'm just saying, like, to me, the road schedule. When I look at their road schedule, okay, they have USC, but Rutgers, Northwestern, Iowa, Nebraska, all winnable.
So if Wisconsin even slightly improves and starts to approach the team they've been for the past couple of decades, then yeah, the winner of this team probably does make the playoff, and the loser probably misses it. So
I'd be very surprised if they win more than one of those home games. They might go 0-3.
Who is Wisconsin's?
Alabama, Oregon, and Penn State, or Alabama, Penn State, and Oregon. Yeah, they could beat.
They're not going to win more than one. And what are their road slates? They got
at USC, at Rutgers, at Northwestern, at Iowa, at Nebraska. All winnable except USC, but even USC is winnable.
Yeah, maybe
USC's
Wisconsin's not going to get there.
USC's not that good.
For me, I had it just one notch below Michigan State, Michigan. So I don't have that big of a gripe, but this game is not a rivalry. They haven't played very much. And maybe my close ties to the state of Michigan, I know how big it is in the state. So that's why I gave that game.
Well, no, I do agree.
He's pandering to his wife
from a
even
history
while
standpoint,
she's not there.
From a history standpoint, but like I said, like there's newer game. LSU, A&M, I guess historically has been playing since the 1800s, but they weren't in the same conference for a long time. Missouri and Alabama have no real fucking history together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're playing that because of the chance to the playoffs, which I think it kind of applies more
quality
like with
football.
This. Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of speaking out both sides of our mouth because some of the new games are intriguing. For me, I said Oklahoma Ole Miss was where it has no history. So some games are, some games aren't, but well played.
I like it.
Patty C, you're on the clock, man.
All right. Oh boy. I think there starts to be a drop off here. Would you guys agree?
Definitely.
No. Okay.
I had one game higher ranked than 2, 3.
I think there's a considerable drop off here, in my opinion. But I'm going to steal your thunder, Nick. We're going to the weeknights, and we are going for a conference championship rematch. That is Boise State at UNLV, which I guess, where was the game played? It was in
It was in Allegiant.
In Allegiant.
Yeah.
So it's
always favorite stadium.
Yeah.
Look, I would have had. I was like thinking, okay, well, man, maybe Barry Odom's doing a good job. He did a great first year, but
Friday night magic.
It's like playing Miami. These games kind of suck because there's going to be 12 people at this fucking game. Boise's going to have the crowd.
Yeah, you would think though at some point UNLV starts to bring a little.
It's too big of a fucking stadium, dude.
Like the Golden Knights.
There's too many transplants in Las Vegas that don't give a shit about
the
UNLV.
Golden Knights fill out a fucking.
That's a small. That's like 20,000 or 30,000 or something.
That's
like
true.
This is a fucking
How do
gigantic
they do
stadium.
for the Raiders games though? I mean,
it's all road team.
Yeah.
You watch it. I watched the Ravens Raiders game. It's like 90% Ravens fans.
Yeah.
They ruined the Raiders by putting them in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
One of the greatest fan bases. Anyway, I mean, look, the game's got to be played there from like this is a repeat of the Mountain West Championship, even though we know San Jose State should have played there. The downside is Boise State has whooped their ass every time they've played them.
that was what, year 1 or 2 for
year 1 last year.
Odom?
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable performance. Maybe he's building them into a legit team.
He's another one that a lot of times I talk about the conference schedule aligning well for you. And in these new gigantic conferences or, with getting rid of divisions, it is there. Someone's going to get an edge every year. And it's funny. A lot of people think we should get rid of conference championship weeks. And I'd even be okay with getting rid of conference championship weeks. But I will say that I think
that would put a big emphasis on rivalry week again.
I'm okay with getting rid of conference championship weeks, but my point is that a lot of people do, their excuse for that is that we're going to get a rematch. I don't think we will because there's too many teams in these fucking conferences now, and the path you're going to get, like San Jose State was better than UNLV last year. We saw them beat the shit out of UNLV at Allegiant, right?
Yeah, that was.
But because of the schedule. Well, they even tied, and they put UNLV there because it was in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, every traditional tiebreaker was like.
But San Jose State's schedule was so much harder than UNLV's.
Yeah,
if you look at it,
so they had a worse overall record.
Yes, so we saw it with Louisville. We saw it with Oklahoma State last year, like where we didn't think they were the second best team in the conference, but they played in the championship game, which gives you the appearance, the illusion that they're the second best team in the conference. Nick, your thoughts on UNLV Boise?
Well, it's funny that there's 9 games. There's 9 weekday games, but we really have quantity and no quality. It's kind of funny Patty played this one because there's 2 P4 games on Friday night also, but this one might be the best game. Maybe. I don't know. It's a decent game. It's a weekday game.
If you put this in Boise, it's so much better for the TV product because like it's packed. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be outdoors, doesn't have that corporate feel. You know what I mean?
But Boise would be up by 21 in the middle of the second.
That's true.
Well, they're gonna be up by 21 regardless.
That's
I feel
true.
But yeah, okay. So still decently played there. NC Nick, you are on the clock.
Shout out to Weehawk who just said, "I'm late. Did anyone select Kansas State?"
We might have argued about it it's been selected. We might have argued about it for 17 minutes. Where are you going, Nick?
All right, personal flavor here. It's SMU at Duke. It's the battle of the private schools. I won't use the same term you guys use.
Good PC Nick over here.
Right. They've only, again, no history. So we definitely don't have this on our side. They played twice in the 50s. I think it's a fun game, though.
That's a little history.
Yeah. I'm not going to count it as history. But to Patty's point, I think there is a huge drop off here. You could go in lots of different directions. I wouldn't argue it. But for me, the personal aspect of my team playing SMU Duke, let's go.
Patty me and Patty were talking about this. I'm kind of excited about this.
A little bit fun.
That's kind of awesome.
Something.
You just have 2 private school pussy fan bases,
and really
one
like,
that will do anything.
Yeah.
like one that like it's like two different sides of the
peak
coin.
private school,
this is
like,
great. I
yeah.
actually kind of like this matchup. I mean, I didn't really go in order of. I would argue one game over it, but it's still in the vicinity, I would say. So,
yeah. In terms of depending on how good SMU is in year one, I think the ACC dealt them a little bit tough of a slate coming in. They took notes from the SEC. You don't want the new guy coming in and kicking ass, so you give him a little bit harder of a slate. Duke, meanwhile, Manny Diaz, is he going to be able to replicate what Elko's built there? Who knows? But the game could have some implications. Probably not ACC championship implications, but still a fun game and a little bit of a contrast. We got the Devils versus the Methodists. I'm trying to come up with angles here.
No, it's fun. It's fun. I like this. Yeah, well played. They should put this on a weekday though. Put this on Thursday.
Yeah, that could have been actually you put this on a weekday, and it's by far the best weekday game.
Yeah.
Who's got the better quarterback? Duke got the Texas
Malik
guy,
Murphy
from Texas.
And they got Preston Stone,
who was a 5-star.
That's a tough question.
Quarterback.
Yeah, I mean
Texas
Murphy's still unproven.
Yeah. I think you got to lean Stone right now, but Murphy probably has the higher upside.
I mean, both those guys could end up on NFL rosters eventually. So
yeah, definitely
good quarterback play there.
All right, folks. Look, before we get to my next play, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times the amount of money you enter. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. You gotta get over it. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. So what are you doing, folks? Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. And when college football comes around, they're rolling with that as well. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right. We are back on the college football experience, and let's start that hate again. Let's start that argument again. Taking you to Waco, Texas, where I think this game has had recent major implications. They were a yard away from going to the college football playoffs. Oklahoma State was in the Big 12 championship game when Baylor stopped them with Dave Aranda. And when you look at what they've done, they've played each other for a shit since the 1920s, since 1920 exactly. And to me, the same reasons you would bring up Michigan State in a way. Now I know it's different; it's an in-state battle, but you want to talk about recent success here. Since the year 2010, we've had 8 double-digit win seasons for Oklahoma State. 8 since 2010. Baylor is sitting there with 6 double-digit win seasons since 2010. So 14 combined double-digit win seasons. Also a champion. Baylor deprived Oklahoma State of making the college football playoffs at the 1 yard line.
The 3-inch line.
Yeah, the 3-inch line.
The Pokes did get revenge the following season in Waco, but yes.
This game is slept on by NC Nick specifically because he hates the Big 12 and he doesn't.
No, I don't. I just don't care about him.
He doesn't appreciate that these are 2 teams that are always kind of in national contention year in year out over the past 15 years in the modern era, and it could be again. And Dave Aranda and Baylor always wins when you least expect it.
Right.
Like you think they're going to be ass, and they end up like good.
That's also the case for Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy typically performs best without expectations.
They've been more consistent though.
Yeah, Baylor.
Well, Baylor had the old
all over the place.
They were on probation for a little bit there with.
And it remains to be seen how good of a coach Baylor has. We know Gundy at Oklahoma State. We know he's gonna, even if they have a little bit of a down year, they're coming right back the next year.
Baylor might be the only team in history that has this sequence of seasons: 10, 10-3, 7-6, 1-11, 7-6, 11-3. It's like
2-7, and then 2-7, and then 12-2,
right.
And then 3-9.
Yeah.
I guess this year's an up year.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you don't know. I mean, they've never had 2 consecutive non-bowling
Some of
seasons.
that was the death penalty, though, man. Like the 1-11. You see, 2017 1-11. Grobe was an interim head coach for the Bryles situation. The whole team left in 2017 because of that shit. So, like, I understand your point. It's accurate, but at the same time, like, it was almost like the SMU situation in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where
extenuating circumstances. I mean, that said, that does kind of make them a consistent program. They've gotten since 2011, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10-win plus seasons. And they haven't gone consecutive non-bowling seasons since 2009. So they went last year. They sucked. They're going to get better.
And this could be the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
We saw it 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. No, I think this is a compelling game. But and while I do trust Oklahoma State to be
right
3 years ago,
3 years ago, I do trust Oklahoma State to be a pretty good team. I think that Baylor has the potential, but it remains to be seen.
Baylor's one that I actually think they did a sneaky good job in the portal getting DeQuan Finn. Like Blake Shapen transfers to Mississippi State, they go get DeQuan Finn. I think DeQuan Finn's a lot.
Play ball
Toledo. I think he's a lot better than Blake Shapen. So I think they upgraded a lot at the quarterback spot. We'll see how it works out for them. Paul saying, "Go Pokes" in the chat.
Do you think? Do we have any record on how Oklahoma State has done at Baylor? Has it been a tough?
They won the last one. They won in 22.
And Oklahoma State does lead the all-time series by 4 games. So
that's pretty.
It's
close.
a good rivalry.
I think I don't know, but I would assume that Baylor's new stadium is a little more of a home field advantage than they've had before that.
You can go sailgating. Any place where you can go sailgating.
Yeah, that's a home field advantage.
All right, Patty C, it jumps back to you. Where are you going?
All right, we're just gonna play another Big 12 game. This wasn't a Big 12 game before. One of these teams was Pac-12 or Pac whatever. But look, West Virginia. I don't know. Do I want to play this game? That's just 2 good teams. I feel like there's got to be something.
You already started it. Just go with it.
All right, you're right.
They've never played though.
They've never played. This is not. This could constitute.
I look forward to West Virginia, Arizona State more because of Arizona State's that Ray Anderson's comments about
they don't want
being like trash.
Right.
Like
I'm not going to West Virginia.
Yeah, I'm not going to Morgantown.
You are West Virginia
of the desert.
That's right. Arizona.
He
is
called them like trash, low class people. But that was Arizona State's AD, not Arizona. All right, and since he got fired recently,
Arizona's a classier school than Arizona State, right?
It is. It is.
Is Arizona a classy school though? I feel like there's.
I don't know if they still qualify as classy, but they're certainly more classy than Arizona State.
Yeah, that's a pretty low bar to clear there. West Virginia at Arizona again. Fafita's coming back. We don't know though.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Out of the 3 games we've played, guys, Kansas, 3 Big 12 games. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Baylor, West Virginia, Arizona. What is the more likely to be the Big 12 championship game if in a rematch?
Kansas State.
Yeah, you think okay? Because West Virginia, Arizona, you can make the argument, and then Oklahoma State, Baylor have the history.
I mean,
I know we talk about this every week. We're like beating it. I mean, there's like 10 teams possible that could play in the Big 12 championship.
And
we didn't have this 3 weeks,
right?
Yeah.
But I mean, again, matchup wise, Neil Brown, I guess, defensive coach. It remains to be seen without who's the fucking coach that just went to Washington.
No, Jed Fish. Yeah.
Fish. He was an offensive guy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Brent Brennan, he's an offensive guy,
He is.
quarterback back in the day.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit of a contrast.
Colt Brennan's uncle.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Blue blood. West Virginia having to travel to the desert, mountains versus desert. It's Americana at its best here.
It's a good matchup based on records, and they could end up in the Big 12 championship. There's no history.
Yeah, it's
but
tough to sell this one.
That's why I think this one is a prime weekday game. Weekday we got CUSA playing, we got Sunbelt playing, we got ACC playing, we got Big 10 playing. Big 12 should have at least one weekday game every week also. And this one, on a weekday, I will definitely be intrigued. It's a good matchup. Both these teams are good teams. It's solid.
This presents an interesting culture clash because, West Virginia versus the Mormons, there is a similar, vein that they're both mountain folk. The folks in the low desert of Arizona and the mountains of Appalachia, how often do they interact with each other? Probably never.
Well, the first ever game, so yeah, never.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, Arizona State has called them out. We'll see. Anyway,
them off.
Folks, look, before we get to our next pick, which is NC Nick on the clock, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, then you need to download Rhythm. That's RITHMM. Rhythm gives you a menu of best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in a matter of seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team full of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning their algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. And Rhythm pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help you feel more confident in your picks. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data, without you needing to endlessly scroll through some sports book. Claim your free 7-day trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Once again, that's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back. NC Nick, you are on the clock. Where are you taking us?
Well, it's kind of sad that we've played 11 games, I think, and I don't really see any more that I would consider myself excited to watch. I guess I'm going to go to this game, SEC Auburn, Kentucky. I don't know. I mean, it's a solid game.
I had it ranked here. I had it ranked here, so I think you're accurate. Auburn,
are you going out of your way to watch this game this Saturday?
No, but I mean, I also live in a place where I can get 11 TVs. So I mean,
it's going to be on one of them for sure.
Yeah,
it's a solid game, but there's not necessarily anything interesting about it. Both teams are going to be solid, but probably not spectacular.
It should be competitive.
But I mean, the two teams, even though they've been in the same conference for a long time, they play each other 2 or 3 times a decade. So there's no history really.
Well, the problem is Kentucky's only beat Auburn once since 1966.
Well, and they get them at home, and they had the better record last year.
To Nick's point, they've only played 3 times in the past 15 years or 14 years. Yeah.
So I know usually I pick a game and I try to sell it. I'm not really doing that here, but all I can say is that it's a solid football game.
I'll say no. This one's decent because I do think I think Hugh Strip Club freeze with them not getting a quarterback. I just did the Auburn preview, and I feel like me and CJ Sullivan did that. He needs to grab some wins because he's 6-7 year one, just like Harsin. They fired Harsin in the middle of year 2. So I don't think they'll fire him in the middle of year 2, but I still think you got to have a winning record this year. And this is to me one of those 50-50 games where they could have a losing record if they don't win games like this. So there's drama there. Patty C.
Auburn, Wisconsin or Kentucky rather has had 2 10-win seasons under Stoops. He's only missed a bowl like once since 2016. Pretty incredible what he's done there. But Auburn, for some reason, I feel like 10 wins seems like his absolute ceiling. It has been. But for Kentucky, I have to see it to believe it for them to win more. Auburn, meanwhile,
now there's no SEC East either. So
that makes things harder. Auburn, meanwhile, you're always just a year away from them turning around and having a big year, especially with a guy like Freeze at the coaching position. I think Kentucky, what makes this game compelling is the fact that Kentucky could get a W, that first win since what'd you say?
No, they have 1 win, and that was like 2009, I think it was.
Okay,
since 1966.
Still, you gotta.
I will say Kentucky has the most returning production in the SEC.
There we go.
Yeah, this is another game that, from an optics standpoint, puts Kentucky on the map if they can get a W. Every time they beat Florida is huge, obviously, but he beat a team that's won a national championship.
They should expect a W here.
Yeah.
Let's go, Kentucky. Wildcats, play that music for it.
Oh, you're just throwing me on the
DJ Colby on the 1s and 2s.
That's back-to-back Wildcat plays, Arizona and Kentucky. Shout out to Weehawk who goes, who can forget the 1987 Kansas State matchup? Wife and I were painting a sanctuary of a church we were married in. KU finishes 1-9-1 that year. K-State was 0-10-1, and they tied at 17-17. It was a classic. Listen to the entire game while we painted, because back then you didn't have those options. All right.
I don't think
I
think he's helping my argument, considering they were 1-9-1
no, the
and
fact it was
0-10-1.
tied. The fact it was tied helps sell it to me. That's what I'm saying. This is even when they're shitty, they're giving you classics.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in '87, Florida State and Miami were double-digit win teams, probably. Okay, let's
definitely
stop. Let's keep moving.
All right. Yeah, I think you played it correctly there. I think you did it. I think you did all right there.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and where the hell is my draft music? You guys are throwing shade on all the games out there. All right. All of them out there. But I'm going to go to one that I have found interesting of late. For some reason, North Carolina can't beat Virginia, and I find it fucking hilarious.
South's oldest rivalry.
I was a guest on a show the past 2 weeks. That they were talking. The guy was a North Carolina fan. He was so depleted. He said, "I thought the past 2 years they were like, I think they were 7-0 last year when they went and played Virginia in Chapel Hill." He's like, I was so excited for the game. I was like, this is the year Mac Brown's gonna do it. And then this shitty Virginia team comes in, and not only just beats us the whole game. Like beats us up the whole game.
North Carolina was lucky to stay in that game. Virginia kind of let them stick around.
This is the South's oldest rivalry. This one, believe it or not,
the South.
Yeah,
it's below the Mason-Dixon line.
All I know is they've been playing ball since 1892 on the football field together. And look, Nick, your question before, like with Kentucky and Auburn, even though I do think it's a decent game, like I'm not seeking it. I am seeking this. Because I find it funny. I find it hilarious that recently, I mean, Virginia's won 5 of the last 7.
You're right. Virginia was 1-5 coming into this game last year with the only win
in Chapel Hill.
The only win being against the FCS William and Mary. Meanwhile, North Carolina was 6-0.
I was on this podcast. This guy was telling me how depleted he was. He was like, we really thought we were going to the playoffs. We could go to the playoffs. And it's like, then
a North Carolina moment happened.
Then a 1-5 Virginia came in and just took care of business.
Fucking beautiful. Mind you, I called that one.
You did call that one. And Carolina only leads this all-time series by 6 games, and they've been playing for they've played well over 100 times. And
last week I think Patty C broke down the difference between the two fan bases quite well. Right?
Yeah.
But here's another thing to help me sell this is if you throw out the 2021 game where UNC won by 20, which was a crazy game because I believe UVA was actually up by 20 at one point. Every other game is like a 1-score game. It was a 4-point game last year, 3-point game the year before. 2020 during COVID, Virginia wins by 3. Year before that, Virginia wins by 7. Year before that, Virginia wins by 10. Year before that, Virginia wins by 6. You know, I feel like they're always 28-27 in 2014. Carolina gets the win. There's just a lot of good games. I know you don't think this is a sexy game, but Patty, see your thoughts?
I mean, prior to like 2009, this was a dead even rivalry. North Carolina took control and won like 7 or 8 in a row. Virginia kind of came back a little bit to get it a little closer, but these two have been like, as a Virginia fan, I can say this, like it's always a 50-50 game. You never know. Now, granted, they've been the better program of late. I think Virginia was actually they were pretty darn competitive, but probably both
in
at
the
their
90s,
peaks in the 90s. They're battling for regional supremacy here, and I think it's an important game for both schools. Virginia in Charlottesville has had a great record against North Carolina traditionally. So I don't know. I'm certainly excited for it. I'll be watching.
Nick, you're not that excited for it, huh?
I mean, I'll be watching too, just because of the local flavor. But if I'm gonna be honest,
I didn't sell you on it though, huh?
If I'm gonna be honest, and if I'm gonna trash a game on the West Coast or a game in the middle of the country because it doesn't have a national appeal, then I have to say this game doesn't have a national appeal either. But no other games left on this week that we haven't played yet have any national appeal. So you can play anything right now. It's like everything you brought up is why it could be a fun game, because it would be fun to see UNC lose again. Of course, I always like to see UNC lose.
Yeah, and you'll seek it out. Like I think all three of us like there's something about like if you're telling me like this is in rotation with the other games around this time, I think I would play this one over a lot of them.
This is the peak ACC game to me. I think these are the two quintessential ACC programs. Ironically, they're both on the
way out?
radar for either the Big Ten or the SEC.
Yeah. Either way,
fun game. Uniform porn a little bit, I think.
Patty C, where are you taking us?
Okay, we got a couple options. I'm inclined to stay in state for a personal play here.
And by the way, to spice up that UVA North Carolina game in 1956, North Carolina had to forfeit the game because they used a player that was not enrolled in the university on the football
cheaters. They've been cheaters that long.
Yeah, they've been cheating since back in the day. So there is a dispute over what the actual record in that game.
He wasn't even enrolled. They're like, hey, this guy can fucking play. All right.
That's right. Pay the motherfucker.
Yeah. Anyway, where are you going?
I am going to I'm going to go to a game that has personal appeal to me, and that is Georgia Tech at Virginia Tech.
Oh, you're stretching it now.
The battle of the Techs.
No, Colby, this is well played because it's the same thing as you. Georgia Tech has won 4 straight games in Blacksburg.
Fair, but at least the UVA one's like a rivalry since the 1800s. This is their first time they played was 1990, but that I didn't know that nugget. That is hilarious.
I mean, I feel like these two teams made it to the ACC championship game out of the Coastal like 20 times in a row, or maybe like 10 times in a row between the two of them. Not even 10, but a lot of times in a row. Look, who is the real Tech? That is the question.
And don't forget Georgia Tech when they won that 1/3 of a share in 1990 of a national championship. They squeaked out against a bad Virginia Tech team, a 6-3 win.
Man,
NC Nick doesn't realize the ACC used to be the Big Ten West.
That was the beginnings of Beamer Ball, taking national championship teams down to the wire.
Virginia Tech leads the all-time series by 3 games. I can't disagree with it too much, but yeah. Enter Sandman, great college environment. Georgia Tech's had their number in Blacksburg.
They've produced a lot of good games between these two teams.
Wait, this is known as the Tecmo Bowl on Wikipedia.
Is that right?
Yeah. The Georgia Tech Virginia Tech rivalry is also known as the Tecmo Bowl.
I feel like this may have just skyrocketed.
Wait, why is it Mo though?
Because you have more Tech.
Oh, more Tech. Okay, I got you. I was here.
More Tech.
Yeah.
Virginia
so
Tech,
Tecmo, because Tech versus Tech.
Okay,
Tech.
How often do you get 2 Techs playing each other?
I just feel like Tecmo is the obvious on there. Okay, but it makes sense. Tecmo Bowl. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, NC Nick, you want to add anything else? Are you excited for this one or what?
I mean, everything I said about Georgia Tech. I'm sorry that UNC UVA applies here.
You know what? I watched the Virginia Tech NC State game at the end of the year where they kept it within 7, and a lot of I think the momentum around Virginia's Virginia Tech's perception is that they smoked UVA, which they legitimately did, and then they smoked Tulane at the end of the year right after that. And the game prior to that, they kept it close against NC State, and I feel like they actually convincingly won the game before that. So 3 of their last 4 performances, in fact, all 4 of the last performances suggested they're a pretty good team. They were getting their ass whooped by NC State. I think Tech may be fucking fool's gold upon further review. So we'll see. Maybe not selling the game right now, but
I mean, there's a little bit to it.
Little fool's gold. We'll see.
NC Nick, where are you going?
I guess it's about time I play a weekday game. And if we're talking about very average ACC games, Friday night, Louisville at Boston College.
I feel like it's a dangerous game.
Especially if Louisville beats Miami the week before. Then I could see them coming in to a very quiet, unpacked house up in Chestnut Hill.
Wait, so you mean an ACC game? Okay, yeah. Continue.
And it's a sneaky spot. BC almost beat Florida State at home last year, and BC wasn't very good. So, there you go. It's a weekday. I think to Paul's point about Ohio State, Nebraska, and I think it should be played here probably pretty soon. But like we mentioned to start the show, it's been so lopsided.
And they've never won. They've gotten fucked up in Columbus.
If it was in Lincoln, okay. But in Columbus, man, it's got blow up potential.
Dylan Raiola, wasn't he a Ohio State commit at some point? I think he bounced around from Georgia to Ohio State.
I think he was. Okay, there's a little bit of
little
a
angle there,
but
yep.
look, I think the best thing you got going for you here is Louisville could have played, I think, for the ACC championship 2 years ago with Satterfield had they not lost to Boston College and Chestnut Hill 34-33 in a little bit of a classic. All right, I'm helping you sell it.
Was there any Big East? Were they ever even in the Big East at the same time?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't. I think
Ships
BC left
passing.
early. Yeah.
What did they leave? 2004, I think, with Tech. Maybe 2005 for BC.
They might have for like a year, maybe been in the same conference. Nick, do you know if they were in the same conference in the Big East? I don't think they were.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
No, because Louisville joined. Yeah, I don't think they were.
Louisville was CUSA before.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a weekday game.
It's a little bit.
Do you think it's better than Syracuse Pitt on Thursday?
Less history.
Syracuse Pitt has more history, but as far as like Louisville could be in the ACC championship again.
Yeah.
Speaking of average ACC games, there's another.
Yeah, that would be half empty too.
Jeff Brom or Bill O'Brien, who has proven more as a coach?
What?
Jeff Brom has had 2 nationally recognized good seasons in his career so far.
What are you talking about? He took over a horrible team.
I'm talking about him taking over a horrible team and having a very good year to put Purdue in the Big Ten championship game 2 years ago, and then putting them in the Louisville in the ACC championship.
He also went 12-2 at Western Kentucky and 10-3 at Western Kentucky.
Okay, overlooking those.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brom is the answer.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. You win, I lose.
But I mean, Nick, you agree with me, right?
I do.
Yeah. Anyway, let's.
Hey, this could be a Bill O'Brien and Boston College spoiler.
I do like this one. And folks, look, if you're watching on YouTube, stay put. We're not going anywhere. But if you're on the audio side, make sure to check out the B side because this concludes the A side on the College Football Experience Week 9, 2024 preview and draft episode. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience. The B side is rocking. NC Nick just drafted a nice. We had 3 straight ACC games. What the fuck's going on here?
Well, things are getting loose, but they got to get fast on the B side.
Well, I'm gonna take it home here. Taking you to Fort Worth, Texas. Texas Tech TCU. This is a rivalry game. Goes back 99 years, and
this is a great rivalry trophy name.
This is the Saddle Trophy, right?
Yeah, West Texas Championship.
Yeah, West Texas Championship Saddle Trophy. They've been playing a long fucking time, and it matters to them. Texas Tech's got a 3-game lead. They've been playing, like I said, for damn near 100 years, 99 years or 98 years technically.
I didn't know Fort Worth fell into the West Texas.
I know
geography range.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, it's a little west of Dallas, though.
I would say North Texas. This is a North Texas.
Texas Tech,
Texas Tech's higher. Lubbock's higher.
Is it?
Yeah, it's higher up than Dallas.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, North Texas Championship.
So yeah, North Texas Championship. Patty, see your thoughts on this matchup.
Sure. I mean, good football, competitive football.
The last 2 matchups have been decided by last year was a 7-point game. Texas Tech won. Year before that, when TCU played for the national championship, they only won by 6, I think it was. So they've had some nice.
What's Joey
duels.
McGuire's specialty? I'm drawing a blank on whether he was an offensive or a defensive guy.
I do believe he was offensive.
Okay. So maybe a shootout. I mean,
was he defensive? He was offensive.
I'm drawing a blank.
No, he was defensive. He was defensive at Baylor. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
he also did coach the tight ends 1 year though at Baylor. So I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Either way, they're still an offensive team. I feel like Texas Tech, generally speaking, I feel like all Texas teams are throw the ball around type teams.
Texas Tech's never been a defensive team.
yeah, it's true.
They had Zach Thomas. They still couldn't play defense. No, I'm joking.
If we wanted desert football, and this is desert football a little bit.
It's in Fort Worth though. If it was in Lubbock, it'd be a little bit better. But Nick, your hate for this game, release it.
No. I mean, it belongs to be played here just along with all these ACC games, and for people that live in that area of the country, they'll probably watch this game over UNC UVA. Will I tune into much of this? Probably not, but it's a solid game, and these teams could be bowl teams.
or in the national championship.
I mean, yeah, West Texas. I mean, Texas Tech was 9-4 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and
7-6. Last year.
TCU was what 13-2 or so.
Played for the national championship.
So-
Nick doesn't want to ever give him that credit.
Why,
Play for
dude?
the
I
national
didn't say anything bad about this game here. What the hell? I don't care about it, This game could have been played probably 3 or 4 spots above it, and it would have been fine.
Well, it is better than Louisville, Boston College, or something like that, or what was the other ACC trash? Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech.
I mean,
At least Virginia and North Carolina have that history, just like this, where they're playing for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this: first tier recruits are always going to go to Texas A&M, and
Or SMU.
or SMU if they get paid. Right.
Don't.
Whoever comes
yeah.
up with the money.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe, teams, second tier recruits would. I think no, they're probably more likely to leave the state now that Texas and Texas A&M are in the SEC. So
But
maybe though,
TCU's just play for the national championship. They can milk that.
that's true.
Yeah.
But you can convince the players that hey, maybe this is a more important recruiting game because those second tier players are going to leave the state.
Fair.
You got to hold on to them. You got to
Fair.
win these kind of games.
I like it. All right, Patty C, you're on the clock.
I'm going to take you to another rivalry game that easily could have been the Mountain West Championship last year.
I like it.
Didn't end up being the case.
I like it.
So this is the battle for the Valley at San Jose State, traveling to Fresno State, 7-6 against 9-4.
Battle for the Valley. This is the name of the rivalry. It's been I like it because this is another classic one where I'd compare it this is going to sound ridiculous when I say it. Like, you know how I don't like how Florida State Miami is at Miami Gardens now?
Yeah.
It kind of devalues it a little bit.
Yeah.
When they play in San Jose, it sucks because no one goes. But Fresno fans go. I actually would argue that Fresno State has the best fucking fans in California. I think they're better than USC. USC is probably second, right? But I think Fresno State is the best college football fans in the state of California.
You don't normally see an empty Fresno stadium.
Dude, it's always packed, and they're actually excited. We have them come in the fucking chat all the time. They love their Bulldogs, and to me, when the game is in Fresno,
is San Jose really in the Valley? No, it's in the Bay. Why are they battling for the Valley?
The Valley Trophy, and look, they've been playing for 100 and this will be the 103rd year since their first matchup back in 1921 when San Jose State won 14-2. NC Nick, this is the 87th meeting. You excited?
I like it. I think again, Patty's playing all of the G5 games this year and this week, but it certainly is a top 30 game, and I mean it's a fun little matchup.
Yeah.
Who took over as the coach of San Jose State again? Was the Hawaiian dude?
Kenny Matalolo.
Oh no, yeah. What the Hawaiian dude?
Question.
Paul says, how is Texas and Vandy, Ohio State, Nebraska on the same page? Look, at that point, I'm just throwing games up there, dude. I'm not actually ranking them. So don't read too much into that. The draft is what you should rank. You know what I mean? So, I like this game. I think, especially when it's in Fresno, it's much more appealing to me when it's in Fresno. They got the checkered end zones.
These are the
fans.
kind of games that should get a little more shine.
They should put this on a Thursday night because I don't think the country appreciates this as much as we do.
Every rivalry game that would otherwise be on ESPN Plus, if you're technically a rivalry game and you have a trophy, you should be forced to play on a weeknight if you're not going to be on ESPN or ABC or whatever.
Yeah, let's go. And Fresno only has a 5-game lead on this series because people don't remember that back when San Jose State had Jack Elway at head coach and they had Gil Bird and Mervin Fernandez and Jeff Garcia in the 90s. They had some fucking good teams. Steve DeBerg. Remember Steve DeBerg?
San Jose State?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go. All right. NC Nick, you're on the clock. Where are you going?
Maybe just to make Paul happy, but I will go Nebraska, Ohio State here. When you say those names, those teams, it brings, you think, oh man, this could be a good football game. Now we have proven that lately it has not been, but people do think Nebraska is going to be improved this year. Maybe they can keep it close in Columbus, but I think it's the type of game where if it is close, then you definitely flip it on to watch.
I grew up hating
absolutely,
Nebraska,
it's
but I
close.
would love to see Nebraska win this game because I want them to be relevant again. Like I said, they've never won in Columbus, and they've been fucked up when they've gone there.
They
But
haven't gone to a bowl in 8 years.
yeah, that's the problem. But
Well, this
I do
is the
think-
year where they
yeah.
probably end that drought.
they should go to a bowl game this year. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I think you got to play it around this point. I think that's fair. So Patty, see your thoughts?
Well, Matt Rule has history of improving programs as he goes forward. Was he year 3 now? Ryan Day has a great track record. Obviously, this is the type of game he does not lose typically. But the game is where it's in Columbus.
Yeah, gonna get fucked.
That's really what makes it pretty tough.
If it's in Lincoln, like this is a top 10 game if it's in Lincoln.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Well, still, some of these top quarterbacks, sometimes the recruiting services really have it right. Sometimes they don't. But if this is like one of these quarterbacks, like a Trevor Lawrence type that comes in as the number 1 recruit and is just like, holy shit, he's ready for the NFL now.
Yeah.
Then maybe Nebraska's in a position to make this a game, especially since Ohio State hasn't figured out their quarterback position, right? At this point in the season, Ohio State, even with I always forget his name, the guy at Syracuse now.
Fran Brown?
No, that'd be
Kyle
quarterback.
Honda McCord.
Honda McCord. He wasn't spectacular, obviously, but he still generated 10, 11 wins. So they're going to be fine offensively, but maybe they just Nebraska's in striking distance. Who does Ohio State have before this game? That's a question.
Their schedule's so light. It couldn't have been a tough opponent.
I'll get that.
Their schedule is genius. They got a bye week. Just give them the bye week.
They do have a bye week.
Yeah.
They do have a bye week.
Well, I'm saying in general, in the first 4. I'm saying,
but maybe because they had Oregon the week before, they'll be banged up a little bit. Meanwhile, there's a back-to-back road for Nebraska at Indiana the week before. Probably not that competitive a game, but 2 big brand names worth watching.
All right, NC Nick. Oh no, he just played that. He played that. Yeah, it bounces back to old Dundee here. Look, he's playing the wrong game in Ohio. There's one that I wish I was in my office because I have my trophy in my office of the Battle of I-75. All right, between Bowling Green and Toledo, aka the Black Swamp Showdown, they call it the Battle of I-75, the battle for the ceremonial Peace Pipe Trophy. Let's fucking go. Yeah, this is dude. They've been playing this one for 105 years. This game's awesome. They truly hate each other. If you talk to anyone from both these schools, they fucking hate Toledo. If you talk to Bowling Green fans, they hate Toledo. You talk to Toledo fans, they hate Bowling Green. They both, and I actually think it's better when the game's at the Glass Bowl. And this year it is at the Glass Bowl.
Do we have a distance on how far away these schools are from each other?
They are definitely not far away. I want to say what, I don't know.
Let me get this.
I guess like an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. This game means something, man. This game, maybe I could make the argument this game might need to be higher because this game actually is a legit college football rivalry.
These schools are 25 minutes from each other.
Oh,
25 minutes.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a reason to dislike them.
And
That's like a high school
Yeah.
level rivalry.
Paul's a BG grad, but Toledo's gonna crush because Toledo's had their number lately. But
It
this
was
is
a 1-point game last year.
Well, and Bowling Green ruined their season in 22. Toledo was.
But
So
I'm pretty sure the game last year was on a weekday. I think it was part of Maction.
It was in November. The past 2. So
therein lies the problem with this play.
Well, do you realize they complained about that though? They moved this specifically. This was the game that they specifically moved. This and Battle of the Bricks, which is another rivalry in the MAC. They moved this because the alumni were pissed that it was a weekday game. They're like, we fucking hate Bowling Green, we hate Toledo, and we want to meet on a Saturday for this.
Good. I mean, more power to them because they're basically saying fuck TV. We want it on a Saturday to make a whole day of it, which I can respect. But as far as if you're not going to the game, try watching this at noon or 3:30 Eastern time with everything else. I'm not going to watch this game.
Oh, this game's making the TVs, Patty.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about you. They care about themselves.
They care about shit.
This is a local fucking.
I'm not shitting on them. I like that,
Yeah.
but that means I'm not going to watch.
I don't know that I've seen 2 closer schools in all of college football from a geographic standpoint than
How
25
about-
minutes
what's-
apart.
How about
say
Duke?
Duke,
How about Duke,
North
UNC, and
Carolina.
NC State?
Are they within
They're
25
very
minutes of
fucking
each
Duke
other?
and
close.
UNC is within 10 miles.
But how many minutes? This is. Let me see
12.
how many miles this is. This is 22.7 miles. Okay, so it's a little closer. Either way, this is super close.
This game's underrated. They fuck each other's seasons up too. Like a classic rivalry. What it's supposed to do, like West Virginia Pitt, when Pitt's having that down year, with the famous game, LaShawn McCoy fucking touchdown where they ruined West Virginia's season.
National championship season. Yeah.
That these should. I love how I put Toledo versus Toledo. That's just because Toledo's going to win, folks. But we'll agree Toledo is a great game, I think. But anyway, Patty C, you're back on the fly.
All right. Well, we're going to go to a game that for you and I, Colby, will probably have a little bit of personal flavor here. The game might suck, but it might be quote prime time TV, depending on how these teams do this year. We're talking about Cincinnati going to Colorado. Laugh if you want, right? We're talking about a team that was in the national championship, not in the national championship, in the college football playoff a couple years ago. Took Georgia to the wire. Should have beaten Georgia, a year before they won the national championship. A mere 12 months before they won the national championship. Colorado, meanwhile, looking like a team that could be a contender in the Big 12 this year.
Look, they did play in 72, and Colorado beat them 56-14.
Times have changed, and look, Deion Sanders was rumored to be on Cincinnati's radar as a potential coaching hire. Said he loves the city of Cincinnati. Had played there obviously as a Cincinnati Red. Wanted to play there as a Cincinnati Bengal. That didn't happen, but ended up at Colorado. I think the good folks in Cincinnati wish he was there over Satterfield, but maybe they get a chance to say "fuck you" to Deion.
Look, I love anytime you play Colorado, but I will say this: one of my realignment games that I was like,
But it still belongs to be played here.
Yeah,
just because of everything Coach Prime and because the newness of it.
Yeah, I'll agree there.
Two cool teams.
Yeah, I like it.
Marketability all over the map on this one.
Skyline Chili versus Highline Chili.
Hello.
See what I did there?
That's good. What's Highline? How marketable is Cincinnati at this point? You think
Highline Chili's when you're just everyone in Colorado is high as fuck.
Oh, Highline.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah, because the elevation and the marijuana.
Yeah, and the mushrooms that are legal.
Every other thing they're doing in Colorado.
Heroin's not legal yet there. November 7th's coming.
That's right.
Or whatever the fucking day it is. Anyway, what were you talking about? You were going to say something, Nick? No?
I think it's my pick, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go. Where are you going?
Oh, there's actually a group of Big 12 games which probably belong to be played right around this area, and I'll take one of them. Which one? I guess I'll go with the rematch of the 2020 Boca Raton Bowl because everybody's screaming for it. BYU at UCF. I mean, it sounds like a second tier bowl, but they're actually in the same conference now. And UCF, I think we're all high on UCF. So it probably would be better in Provo because then I think there could be a home dog scenario. But this could be a good game. Sure.
Let me say on this. I wasn't aware of how many Mormons are in Florida. Did you know this?
No.
When we had Rush on the show, who's a BYU guy, he was saying Florida is like one of the more underrated states for Mormons.
Mormon country.
There's a big
That's
shocking.
On brand for Florida.
No, it's not.
It is in the fact that you never know what to fucking expect from Florida.
Well, to me, it makes this game a little more appealing, though.
Yeah.
Like when I was like, wow. So you're telling me they have a decent sized Mormon population in Florida? And he's like, yeah.
Imagine if BYU got recruiting hotbeds in Florida and in Hawaii. BYU is the nation's football team.
And don't forget Kenya. But this is their fourth meeting too. They've been playing a lot, and they've played some good ones. All right, two of the three. But
if they were the nation's football team, our guy would have been president a few years ago. What's his name that ran?
Mitt.
Mitt Romney.
Hey, his son's no longer on the team, or his grandson's no
Gunner.
longer on the
Gunner.
team. But yeah, there was
He's
two.
a baller.
There was two. Yeah. Anyway, look, I think this is well played. Patty C, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good game.
Anytime you can get a Mormon on Mormon school.
I don't know
Let's
if
go.
we're gonna call UCF a Mormon school at this point, but
The bounce house is because they soak. Damn it!
that's
all
right. That's right. They soak. Apparently, you know, when they're soaking, there has to be a shaker. There's someone that so you're not fucking.
You have a ref. You have a mediator?
person that shakes you. I've heard this.
That's going way too far. That's
Well,
going way
I
too
think
far.
you're just fucking at that point. Even if someone
Is
else
that a threesome?
Yeah, I was about to say. That's just awkward. It's like I'm in, man. Shake.
Who's gonna win this game? I don't know. The bounce house is gonna be a tough environment.
The moon bounce. Yeah.
The moon bounce. Is BYU with their home field advantage at a significant disadvantage down in
Definitely.
in the swamps?
Unless they
of
come
Florida.
a week early to hang out with family.
Yeah,
Get used to it.
Do some.
Yeah.
What do they call when they walk around recruiting?
When they walk around. Oh, when they go. I know what you're talking about.
What is that called?
Yeah.
The recruiting
Campus
visits.
tour?
Campus tour, the college football campus tour. He's more. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, moving on.
I don't know what the fuck. Well, I don't know what the fuck. They have a little term for
Well, I don't get
recruiting visits. Mormons, you would think they'd be great at recruiting.
Wait, I like this name.
Door
I
to
like
door
this
recruit-
name for the rivalry, the sabbatical.
The sabbatical. I don't think that's what you think it means. Okay, let's keep going here.
What the fuck are we talking about here?
Whose pick is it?
Who's
Yours,
Who went
Colby,
last?
you're up.
Oh, okay.
Trying to get our two boys ready to carry them to golf tournament.
Pretty much.
12.
So let's go to not a lot of meat on the bone here.
Nope. Let's power through them.
You gotta
I'm going
get
to
creative.
Berkeley. Old Pac-12 game still existing.
I like it.
You know, Oregon State heads to Cal. I love the stadium. So there's that. And the fact that they have played, dude, they've played for a long fucking time. They've played for 100 and it's like they were in a conference together. That was fantastic. And, you know, and guess what? Cal only has a 2-game lead. They've been playing since 1905.
What
We're,
place has the?
we're playing this one for Bill Wadden. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Rest in peace to the great Bill Walton.
Just because he's a Redwood fan and
You know, he's
He's a
you know,
Pac-12 fan.
Yeah.
you know how Cal has those trees that are right on that hill. What's that hill called? I need Michael Barker here. There's some hill right, so like people can watch the game
Well,
for
I know,
free.
yeah.
Tightwad Hill, I think they
Tightwad
call it.
Hill.
Yeah, but what's great about it is that's where a bunch of Berkeley fans will do acid and stuff.
oh, I'm sure.
You know, Bill Walton's been there.
been up there. Yeah,
He's definitely been there. Definitely caught the
he
dead.
went on a recruiting
Yeah.
visit to Cal and did some acid on Tightwad Hill.
You caught him a tightwad. But Patty, see your thoughts on this game.
Sure. I mean, we got two potential ACC teams here, depending on what happens with Oregon State.
What have they done to our sport?
Oh, man,
What have
I
they
don't
fucking done to our sport? These fucking suits. The same people that thought it was great to have that. What was that TV show, Blind Justice, where they had a fucking blind dog, blind guy as a detective with a German Shepherd. The same people that greenlit that are fucking the same people that are giving us this shit.
Conference realignment. Look, Cal 6-7 last year. Oregon State 8-5, but completely decimated, more than decimated, destroyed by all the things that have happening, be it the transfer portal or losing their coach, etc. Cal, you would think would have to be the favorite here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so.
Still,
Yeah.
Pac-12 classic game, kind of fun. And for, maybe Oregon State can
Pull the upset.
attract the ACC's invite if they pull an upset here against Cal. The more times that happens, the more likely they are to get a
There we
Power
go.
5
Sell
invite.
it,
I like
Patty.
this. I like this. I like the ACC going into Texas in the Pacific Northwest. You know, let's take it on out.
Very Atlantic.
All Coast Conference, golf,
Yeah,
Pacific,
all
Atlantic.
coast.
Let's
There
go.
you go.
There you go.
Nick, your thoughts on this classic?
I've already said it. This one's for Bill Wadden. Next.
Okay. Patty C, you're on the clock. Where are you going?
let's see. I mean, there's one that looks like an actual decent game.
I find this exercise much more annoying than it was the past 6 years.
I kind of agree. Once we get into the 20s, I'm like annoyed by it.
It's like what I'm just trying to convince myself that
Right.
it's gonna be
right. I
worthy
think
to
next
be
year we
picked.
got to shrink it to like a top 20.
Yeah, next year it's gonna be our top 5 games of the week.
Maybe next week.
Yeah,
we shrink it.
Trying to keep fans on for more than
you don't
30
even know what you're doing.
I
here.
do know what I'm
Only
doing.
the hardcores are still listening. Trust me. I mean,
Look, we got Northwestern at Iowa.
I do like this one. It deserves to be played.
8-5 last year against 10-4 Iowa.
Northwestern gives them fits, man.
Yeah, I think these are these are less than 4 hours apart. And if you want to talk about proximity, I feel like Iowa. A lot of people that go to Iowa are from the Chicagoland area. So yeah, there's some familiarity here that breeds contempt.
I mean, they've been playing since 1897. How about this too? I mean, I guess Iowa's won 3 straight, but before that, Pat Fitzgerald had won 4 of 5 against Iowa.
yeah, you wonder if that
teams
was
win
just
in Iowa City.
You wonder if that was just like a Fitzgerald thing, though. You wonder if that's going to be able to continue. Probably not, but that's a reason to watch.
Well, I wonder also because Brian Ferentz went 3-0 against Northwestern. I wonder since he's gone, will they be able to beat Northwestern?
Well,
He scored 33 one time against them.
Whoa.
That's like
Iowa
scoring
is-
10,000.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you are able to play Iowa's style of football equally as well, which only a few people could probably do with Northwestern's talent, Pat Fitzgerald being one of them, then Iowa becomes beatable. I don't know if the new coach, but he was very impressive. Well, I keep forgetting his name. The Iowa Northwestern coach, right?
David Braun.
David Braun. I mean,
It's a very forgettable name. It's
A lot.
yeah.
A lot of people talk trash about these old school games that were 9-6 or something, even though that did happen in 1915. In 1913, Iowa won 78-6 against Northwestern.
He is a perfect name to
1913.
coach in the Big Ten West. It's bland. It's boring. It's bland. There's nothing memorable about it. No wonder why you keep on forgetting. I didn't know his name either.
David Braun is going to make us remember that name eventually. Might take 20 years.
I like this game being played here. I think I almost played it. NC Nick, where you take us to? Weekday Nick?
Yes. ACC Nick, weekday Nick. Some might argue this is Northeast football. I don't include Pittsburgh as a Northeast team or a
This is
Northeast
certainly
city.
Northeast football.
Syracuse at Pitt. Pitt is still more Rust Belt than Northeast, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
But solid Thursday night game.
It still counts for Northeast football because they were in the Big East for so long, and they've been playing this one for 108 years. I think it is.
They're each other's most played rival.
Yes, this is why it fits for Northeast football. And look, Syracuse won last year in the Bronx. There was a rumble in the Bronx. They won 28-13. Before that, Pitt had won 5 straight.
Why did they play in the Bronx? Just to celebrate the 100 years?
Yeah, it was celebrate. I think the first ever college football game. Probably also they wanted to mix that in with the fact no one goes. Like this is the problem. How many fans are going to be at this game?
Yeah. 20,000, 30,000.
Yeah.
Which would look like a lot, but then when you put it in a 60,000 stadium, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, Pitt, even if they don't fill out a stadium, maybe a good team.
They fill out the bars.
Yeah, they fill out the bars.
It's true.
Syracuse maybe stepping in the right direction with Kyle Hunnam McCord at the helm. Fran Brown bringing a lot of talent with him from Georgia. Maybe this game's a little more competitive.
I like it. All right, folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live with the NBA Finals. Create entries up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry, essentially. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is always higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times the amount of money you enter. You can win now. Use specials and boost on all flexes and entries, or flexed entries, I should say. I can't make. I can't wait to make a pick on pick 8. You gotta hop over there. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. So what are you doing, folks? Sign up. But when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code TCESGPN. All right, jumps back to me. Give me I could see. Let me paint you something here. Utah is going to be having a magical year.
It's a good play.
And Willie Fritz is all of a sudden going to have Houston playing better each week, and they're going to go into Houston and get upset by Willie Fritz because he can fucking coach. Utah at Houston. I don't know that there's much history here, and I didn't do any homework on this.
They
play.
played 4 times total, but haven't played since '78.
I just think it's a dangerous game for Utah because, like we said, Houston always has talent, and to me, the longer Fritz is gonna turn. It's not a matter of
if but when.
Yeah, I can't talk, and I think it's a scary game for them by this point in the year because I think Fritz will have Houston playing much better ball week in and week out,
and Utah's traditionally susceptible, against.
And they're 0-4 against Houston.
Wow,
all time. So let's go. Nick, your thoughts?
I mean, Houston wasn't a good team last year, but almost beat Texas at home. So you wonder if they
they should have beat Texas. That call was fucking horrible.
Right. So you wonder if they have a little bit of magic at home where maybe they could knock off Utah. So again, this game does belong to be played right around here. So I like it.
All righty, Patty C.
Very nice. So I've got 2 picks left. Colby, I believe you only have 1 pick left, and Nick, you have 2 picks left.
Alrighty.
Yeah, no, that's correct. So I got to be a little bit thoughtful about what I'm going to do here, and guess what? I'm going to go to a game that is a traditional rivalry game. You might not like the setting. We are going to Notre Dame against Navy in East Rutherford.
I hate where they play this.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Go to Annapolis. They played for like 1,000 years. You never once played a game in Annapolis, you cowards.
That's unbelievable. Still, it is traditional college football. You got to like the history here. Navy pretty much responsible for keeping Notre Dame's program alive during World War II when Notre Dame was about to shut down the program, and Navy funded them to keep the game alive. So there's a ton of history here. And Navy kind of in a home environment, even though you still figure it's a Notre Dame crowd for the most part in East Rutherford.
You would agree though that Army's more likely to knock off Notre Dame than Navy right now, right?
Yes, but not that much more. Okay. I think those teams.
It was 42-3 in Dublin last year.
Okay, that's
and it could have been worse.
Yeah, maybe it's not a great game, but still, there's part of me that'll watch
the history.
Yeah,
right?
I'll watch the first quarter and a half until Notre Dame's destroying them.
Nick, your thoughts?
This was not on my top 30.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's tough. I hate the the neutrality of it. Is that a word? Right?
I think it is.
I think it's like net neutrality. That was one of those words floating around there.
Net neutrality. Yeah, well, no one really knows what it meant, but
I still don't know anything. Yeah. But anyway, yeah,
I'm pro net neutrality.
Nick's an All-American.
Anyway, you're on the clock, Nick.
All right, it's rare that I play a game out west, so I'm gonna throw you guys a bone. I just played which I guess we're calling as the Northeast one. So like I'm a tide can turn. Okay,
it is easy.
Wazoo at San Diego State.
I was about to play this. I went to the last game.
Come on, it's pretty good.
It's easy
to
see
game
a tide
here.
turn.
Oh, it's a good
Uniform porn for sure.
I went to the last time they played. San Diego State beat them 42-24. That was at Qualcomm. I was there with a couple Wazoo, did the tailgating scene, and then San Diego State took it to him. Rocky Long, getting it done against them. But look, they're 1-1 all time. They should have played more. They're going to be playing a lot more, I guess. This is at the Snapper. We haven't mentioned a lot of games at the Snapper so far. Nobody goes into the Snapper and gets a dub. Patty, see your thoughts on Washington State at San Diego State.
Well, you have mentioned that Washington State you feel is in a pretty good position moving forward. They don't have nearly the
turnover
destruction to every aspect of the team that Oregon State has. So San Diego State has traditionally been a pretty good team in the Mountain West.
Sean Lewis coming in. Yeah.
Again, is this a Mountain West championship game that might happen in the next few years? We'll
Potentially.
see.
Potentially.
We'll see.
I guess you could say that for any team in the nation now.
Yeah, sure. I do think this will be a competitive game, and the fact that it's in the Snapper makes it more of a toss-up here.
I like it. Okay.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Whoops, I did not mean to play that right there. But final pick of the draft for Dundee. I'm conflicted. There's a couple ones out there. And I'm going to take you to what I am going to say is a dangerous game. H.A. Chapman Stadium, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was impressed with Kevin Wilson in year one, and I was impressed with him at Indiana. I think Tulsa, I don't know if I would say they're contenders, but I can tell you this, they could ruin UTSA's chances of playing in the AAC championship with a win here. So I will take you to H.A. Chapman Stadium, UTSA at Tulsa. Patty C?
Would you say UTSA is on a pretty short list to be in the conference championship?
Yes, I would say.
Okay, because who left CUSA?
AAC
or AAC. God, I always get this. Who left the AAC?
Houston's no longer there. UCF's no longer there. SMU's no longer there.
Okay, yeah. So that
Cincinnati's
clears
no longer
out
there. Yeah.
the top of the
It's
AAC.
it's projected to be Memphis, UTSA in the championship game.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe Tulane. Yeah.
I mean, I like any Oklahoma versus Texas game has a little intrigue to me. San Antonio, Tulsa, pretty far away from each other, but still a trap game indeed. And Tulsa, is H.A. Chapman renowned for being a trap location?
No, not recent. Well, actually, Tulsa's all right though. I just feel like it's a sleepy game for UTSA, and I feel like I think Wilson. I think it was an underrated hire. Nick, your thoughts on this game?
No, I agree that it was an underrated hire, and I'm curious as to what Tulsa's going to look like this year. I'm curious as to what their win total might look like, also, because I think we both might be on the over. Look, play it on a weekday, man. UTSA Tulsa is going to get lost in the sauce on a Saturday.
But I do think the point is that I'm trying to make is that like this could be one that could fuck up UTSA's entire season.
Yeah, I don't blame you for playing it, because I think that it definitely could. I don't know. I mean, I think UTSA might take a small step back this year, but
the whole conference is taking a step back by everyone.
Oh no, they still are. They're still definitely a contender in the American. So yeah, I like it.
Patty C. He's got a play that he likes, but anyway.
You want me to go? You want me to go? In front of him. I'll play my last.
No, he's here.
one.
He's here.
Okay.
He's here. What do you look? What's your play, buddy?
I'm not gonna play it, but I want to mention it so that I have a reason to take a shotgun here. We got
no. You can only take a shotgun if you play the game also.
Well, then I'm kind of pigeonholed here, so I'm gonna do it because I want to take the shotgun. Look, Southern Miss fucked up JMU's perfect basketball season.
Oh, you don't want that smoke. Brett Favre and his blood money. You don't want that.
Look, fuck Southern Miss and fuck all these teams that wear black and yellow. They're a little bit of the bane of our existence, including App State.
I was gonna say you should be thankful that they did it, because App was gonna do it if they didn't.
Well, App did do it twice to us, but
they didn't.
They didn't show up in the conference championship game because they were fucking pussies that didn't want the smoke.
You know who else didn't show up in the second round of the NCAA tournament was James Madison.
Oh, this guy. Sorry.
Hey, by the way, JMU is 0-2 all time in basketball against Southern Miss. So
well, it doesn't really matter. And Nick's talking trash about Duke fucking beating JMU. It must be nice.
I took it easy on you. I didn't say shit when it happened.
Well, look, I'm gonna take a shotgun anyway.
We access shotgun that beer.
We
YouTube.com/The College Experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. Southern Miss JMU. Nick, your thoughts?
There is revenge to be gotten on some level here, so let's have it.
Not a stellar week for the Sun Belt as far as premier matchup, so I'm glad it's played. I like it.
Really? I have no reason to play this game.
No, I think Southern Miss fans have been like, I like
they're both
Southern
cool
Miss.
fan bases.
So yeah, and you throw JMU there. It's a fun game.
Here we go. Let's take this shotgun.
Do your gun, buddy.
Woo!
There you go, Patty C. YouTube.com/The College Experience. The experience never ends. NC Nick.
Last pick of the whole thing, right?
Yep.
All right, we got to give the Conference USA some love for playing on Tuesday and Wednesday. Unfortunately, of those 4 games, I don't know which the best one is. I guess I'm going to say Liberty at Kennesaw.
It's dangerous because
Yeah.
because of the triple option aspect or the flex bone option.
Obviously,
It's a fun game too.
Could be a blowout, but look, Liberty almost lost to Sam Houston last year.
Yeah.
This year, Kennesaw is last year Sam Houston, first year in the FBS, in the Conference USA, but this time it's on the road. So who knows? Might be something.
Yeah. It was tough. I was either that or Middle Tennessee, Jacksonville State. I was like, Middle Tennessee, Jacksonville State could be.
That's a decent game too,
But I like this one just because in general, historically, I feel like just teams you go up against that thing you're not used to. And you're just like, fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see if they
very much a threat.
derail their season, much like UTSA Tulsa.
Any other games on the slate that deserve mentioning?
I mean, I think you could have made a case for Arkansas, Mississippi State being on there.
Look, it was hard to mention 30 of them. We don't need to mention the ones that didn't make it.
What about Temple ECU? I know Colby's itching to mention that.
Well, believe it or not, they've played a lot at least. It's not like Temple and Tulsa. You know what I mean? Temple and ECU have played more times than I think you care to know. But
yeah, we got enough out of this week.
Yeah.
I think we squeezed it dry, guys.
Yeah.
And ECU does lead that series, of course.
Let's get our FCS games, and quite frankly, the
no.
best FCS.
First, we got the what the
right?
fuck
What the
game
fuck
of the
games,
week.
yeah.
Which Lou Holtz what the fuck game of the week is coming up, and yeah.
Well, I don't got rain man cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
My Lou, since I have the top pick here, my Lou Holtz what the fuck game of the week will be the likes of because Wagner and UMass it's almost like a fair game.
Where is Wagner?
I think that's in New Jersey, right? Or
it's
is that
relatively regional.
Or is that
too?
New York?
I thought it's in New York City. So
Yeah, it might be in New York, I think. Yeah. And by the way, that's Colorado, New Mexico, Colorado State. I fucked that up. But let's go to Washington at Indiana. I told you the Big Ten sucks. I hate these fucking games. And actually, no. Yeah, I'll leave that one out there. So Washington, Indiana is my play. The game's stupid. It should never happen.
The Penix Bowl.
It's just terrible. There's zero interest in that fucking game. And yeah, Nick, your thoughts?
Well, Wagner's in Staten Island, so it is in New York. But no, there's 3 new cross country games, which I know Indiana is kind of somewhat in the middle of the country. That's still cross country for me. And I think all of them suck. And this is one of them.
Yeah. What's the third one? I'm trying to think of the third one, but
Wake at Stanford.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
That game
That's
sucks.
very high up there. Yeah.
Patty C, your Lou Holtz, what the fuck game of the week?
I don't got rain man cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
Oh boy. I think the obvious one here is Rice at UConn.
I guess there's 4.
Think of a much more boring game to play than that one.
Well, you don't just walk into the wrench and and get a dub.
I don't know that Rice.
DJ Warner against Jim Mora. Got some NFL pedigree.
That's true.
Yeah. Nick, your thoughts on Rice and UConn?
Oh, it's boring as hell for sure.
Is that a future ACC game?
Hopefully not. Possible though.
All right. And
I mean,
Nick.
SMU needs a rival.
And UConn makes a ton of sense.
I've been saying UConn for a while.
Cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
I'll take you to Friday night, Rutgers at USC.
That's
for me,
horrible.
it starts at 11:00 Eastern time. That game's not going to be over until 2:30 in the morning.
Wait. It starts at 11:00 Eastern in New Jersey?
Yes. Eastern time. No, it's
What?
Rutgers at USC.
Oh, I thought it was at Rutgers. Okay.
No, it's at
Okay.
USC in the Coliseum. So the game's not going to end until 2:30 Eastern time. So if you're a Rutgers fan, it's a lot to ask, unless you're currently enrolled in college and stay up that late.
Let me watch this Greek pellet gun.
Yeah.
The
He'll
Coliseum.
get destroyed by 8.
Look, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be tough for East Coasters to do this shit. 11:00 kick in a conference game for a game that's going to last 3.5 hours. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. At least it's a Saturday, so I mean, maybe you go out to the bars.
That's right.
You
New
know what I
York,
mean?
the bars stay open till like 4 a.m. So
Colby, this is your first year with a young kid. You can be able to go out to the bars, watch some of these late games.
No, I'm not going to go to the bars, but I'll watch them from home.
Yeah, for you, it's not as bad because you're on the West Coast.
And I fight sleep, man. I've always fuck sleep, man. I don't do sleep. You know what I mean? So
this is the Brian Cushing Bowl right here.
Yeah, Brian Cushing Bowl. All right, now we go to our FCS game of the week.
Wait, I gotta. No, I already did my what the fuck. Yeah, let's do FCS.
He's got shotguns and beard.
No, I wanted to say there was one other game that Utah State, Wyoming. I think we
slept on Utah State, Wyoming. But Nick hates Utah State.
Deserves a little shout out.
Look, FCS game of the week. My top play. I'm pulling an NC Nick here. As much as I want to play some of these historic rivalries that are on there, there's a couple that have been played for a long fucking time. Well, actually, this one's played for a long time too, but it's a standalone weeknight game. Yale heads to Penn, and I think it's one of the best stadiums. I really believe that they should host the national championship some years at Franklin Field, the oldest football stadium in America. This is, to me, a rivalry that goes to, like, they first played like the day after the Civil War. Yale and Penn played football, and they've been playing football ever since. And it's a great rivalry, and you know, it's good for like I said, the stadium, the atmosphere, Friday night. To refresh your memory, folks, the Eagles played here for a long time. It's also been some of the most prestigious college games back in the day played at this stadium. So jump on it.
Let me tell you what about FCS games though, or Ivy League games, I should say. The only Ivy League teams that draw my attention include Yale, Harvard, and Princeton. Every other team is
Penn's good though.
They don't have the douchebag like angle that the other schools have. Yeah. You know, they don't have the pretense and the cockiness. So unless it involves two of those schools, not that interested.
What about on a Friday night though? One of the lone games.
Sure, I'll watch it if it's on TV.
Nick, your thoughts?
I like Northeast football on the FCS level only, and I like weekday games. So why not?
There we go. Patty C, what's your FCS game of the week?
Well, I don't think it's much of a mystery here. We're playing probably one of the biggest win total games of all of college football, period. This is 10-3 South Dakota traveling to 15-0 national champs. South Dakota State, South Dakota Showdown Series, or the Interstate Series as it's known. Look, can South Dakota go into South Dakota State and grab a W and maybe end a long undefeated streak in the process?
Yeah, Brookings Stadium. This rivalry goes back. All right, since 1889 they've been playing. All right,
a long time.
And the bad news is, because early on, South Dakota went up to a 11-0-1 lead. Bad news is they're on their 117th matchup, and South Dakota State has a 5-game lead now because they have dominated since 2001. Only South Dakota's won twice, and they've pissed in their faces the past two games, 37-3 and 28-3. Nick, your thoughts on a little South Dakota?
The Dakotas are FCS football.
At this point, yes.
Yes. All right. NC Nick, what's your FCS game?
Weehawk, by the way, very strongly advocating for a game here.
Yeah, he went,
and that's the one I'm going to pick. Look, I want to keep Weehawk on my good side. I was talking shit about the Kansas State game. I will say, look, Western Carolina and Mercer, two very good teams from a year ago. Mercer won in Cullowhee by a touchdown, even though Cole Gonzalez damn near threw for 400 yards last year. So expect another shootout, and I think this time Western Carolina wins at Mercer.
And look, Mercer's had their number a little bit. Western Carolina hasn't beaten them since 2015. So Weehawk, Kerwin Bell, I got to circle this one. All right, folks, we are the College Football Experience. Make sure you check out all of our team previews that are currently going right now, and there's a bunch more. We're breaking down all 134 college football teams, a solo podcast for each and every team in the land, like we do each and every year. But this year's 134 because of Kennesaw State. So check out all those team previews. Also, we have a lot of other great stuff. The Stadium Heads podcast, myself, college football campus tour going, college baseball experience. Noah Beanick. It's a great time of year for college baseball. I think it's the most underrated postseason in American sports. Also, check out the FCS college football experience for more in-depth talk about Albany, Delaware, South Dakota State, Yale, Penn, and also Western Carolina and Mercer. Shout out to Adam Smith. And look, he's a New Mexico fan, man. So he's upset that we didn't talk about New Mexico, Colorado State.
He was also a great economist and really big on capitalism, right?
Adam Smith, yeah.
He's the father of.
How long till Bronco Mendenhall turns around New Mexico?
Until Bronco turns around.
How long do you give him? New Mexico is going to be a football school soon.
3 years. Well, what did he do at UVA? I feel like that's a similar project.
He did it too.
I think he maybe got bowling by a year or two. Let me see. Bronco Mendenhall.
Nick, what do you think?
No, I was a great hire. I mean, slam dunk hire. So I think they're gonna be playing a lot better than they have.
Bronco Mendenhall 2-10, 6-7, 8-5, 9-5.
He's gonna he didn't have the portal then. I don't know that he buys into the portal, but Weehawks going to Omaha like he does every year for college baseball World Series. He's the fucking man.
Wahoo wah, we'll be playing there.
Appreciate you and
Shame you just missed.
So check out the college basketball experience. Nothing like a game at the Pit in Albuquerque in football. That's coming to University Stadium soon in football. Until next time, folks. This is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.